The mother god was a slender young woman in a leaf green dress. How beautiful! Tang Wan'er and the others stared in amazement. This woman gave off a feeling that they had never seen before. It was a gentleness that could infect a person's soul. Her beauty contained a warmth others did not possess, and her light green eyes contained a certain look, as if she had seen worlds be born, grow, age, and die. A green ripple appeared on the earth with every step she took. It was as if she was a primordial elf born at the same time as the first tree. Her beauty was not just in her appearance but also the warmth of her soul. Anyone looking at her would feel an involuntary closeness to her. They would even feel willing to entrust their lives to her. The Luo spirit race's experts knelt on the ground, piously calling her name. This woman was the Luo spirit race's mother god. Respected 9-star heir, thank you for your favor. Ling Shi will represent the Luo spirit race in revering you as a god for as long as our race exists. We will listen to your guidance. The women bowed to Long Chen. Senior, Long Chen didn't know how to respond. This person was the god of the Luo spirit race, and she was acting so deferentially to him that he felt unnatural. Please, call me Ling Shi, said the woman. I should be the one thanking you. When I was in trouble, the Luo spirit race saved me. Without the Luo spirit race, I might already be dead. The favor of a drop of water in need must be repaid with a gushing spring, let alone the favor of saving my life. Furthermore, we were already mortal enemies with Yi Ming and the divine families before this. You have no need to thank us. We must thank you instead for saving us, said Long Chen. The reason Long Chen had ended up chasing them to the mother tree was because Yi Ming had set up his trap this way. They didn't do this to save the mother tree, and they didn't risk their lives for the Luo spirit race. They had to stop Yi Ming from recovering the heaven-devouring Fiend King's full power. He had only done all this to protect himself. Even without seeing Qi Li be killed, he would have taken the risk of activating the 6-star battle armor. Fighting for his life had now been taken as a huge favor by the Luo spirit race. Despite how thick Long Chen's skin was, he couldn't accept it. 9-star heir, you dash, Ling Shi smiled. You can call me Long Chen instead. To tell the truth, I'm not a good person, so you don't need to be so respectful to me. I'll feel guilty otherwise, said Long Chen. Meng Qi and the others exchanged a smile. Long Chen truly had never gotten accustomed to talking so solemnly. He would rather laugh and joke around. The disciples of the Martial Heaven Alliance had seen countless so-called geniuses but had not encountered someone like Long Chen. He was dauntless in the face of powerful enemies. That kind of fearless courage was extremely admirable. But normally he didn't put on airs, nor did he act icily arrogant like others. Even facing those weaker than him, he didn't go out of his way to express his superiority. In their eyes, this was a true expert worthy of following. Rather than someone who had to trample over other people's dignity to show how different they were, this kind conduct was what made them feel heartfelt respect. His pride did not need others to back it up. All right, Senior Long Chen, actually, I'm not older than you, so you can just call me Long Chen. Ha! Everyone laughed, while Meng Qi and the others shook their heads. Long Chen really made people speechless. But he was correct, he truly couldn't compare to the mother tree who had lived for countless years. This laughter lightened the sorrow they were feeling inside. Ling Shi stared blankly, seemingly not understanding why people were laughing. She awkwardly said, "Perhaps I am not able to communicate properly with you, so I will have Qi Li take my place. I will return to the mother tree. It will take some time to fully activate the life god source, so I won't accompany you any longer." Ling Shi bowed to Long Chen once more before fading. Long Chen stared awkwardly. Is she angry? No, the mother god doesn't like talking to others. She normally only communicates using mental messages. But that would be rude to someone like you, so she came out herself. To tell the truth, it is said that she has never revealed her true form before. We've all benefited from you. Qi Li laughed. You have to call him Senior Long Chen, or it would be rude to the god, reminded La Wei. I don't need your reminder, said Qi Li stubbornly. Long Chen hastily said, you can just call me Big Brother Long Chen. That makes us seem closer, and we don't need to feel so guarded when talking. Do you see? You don't even know how to analyze the god's thoughts. How can you be the god's emissary? Snorted Chi Liet La Wei. He just needs to analyze your thoughts and that will be enough, said Long Chen with a smile. Turning to everyone, he said, let's all rest here. Everyone's exhausted from the battle. This battle had truly been tense. They had been on the edge of death the entire time, and the appearance of the endless black armor corps had truly brought them immense pressure. With the order to rest, many people directly fell asleep on the ground. Theoretically, cultivators didn't need to sleep, but due to the sudden relaxation of their tense nerves, the best thing for their recovery was to return to the most primitive state of sleeping. The battle report quickly came in. Over 300,000 of their disciples had died. As for the Dragonblood Legion, they had also suffered 17 casualties. There was no way around it. In such a terrifying battle, they could not maintain 0 losses. The Dragonblood warriors were silent when they heard that. 17 losses. That was not a number. That represented 17 life and death brothers that were gone forever. Boss, it's my fault. My directions? Xia Chen shook his head. Long Chen waved his hand. Don't say anything foolish like blaming yourselves. We entrust our lives to each other. There were no mistakes in our battle. We are the strongest legion, and there is no need to doubt our power. It is simply that we had far too many enemies this time. Without you, the Dragonblood Legion would have taken far more losses. I'm sure those fallen brothers don't blame you. But they'll be disappointed if you feel guilty over it. Xia Chen nodded and clenched his fists. He didn't say anything else. They had been surrounded from the start and pincered over and over again. There had even been a shameless opponent like Zhao Ritian launching sneak attacks and breaking into their formation. Although that couldn't be blamed on Xia Chen, he still felt like he hadn't done enough. He would further study and improve his formations in the future. It's also our equipment that can't keep up with us any longer. If it weren't for Zhao Ritian, they wouldn't have died, said Guoran hatefully. As he said this, he smashed a hammer on his forging table, causing everyone to jump. A scream came from the forging table. Countless fragments of golden immortal metal flew out. Everyone stared. That was Zhao Ritian's voice. He was trapped in the forging table, but his scream was quite healthy. Before this, he had been on his last breaths. Guoran repeatedly smashed his hammer, causing more and more fragments of immortal metal to fly out. They quickly piled up. What's going on? Asked Long Chen. Hee, this dog's hit Zhao Ritian. I put the immortal metals and ores that I gathered into the forging table on purpose. As expected, he secretly absorbed them to recover. Now I'm making him spit out what he ate. This is saving me quite a bit of time purifying and refining the ores. Here, brothers, if you want to vent, you can try it too. Take the hammer and smash out the immortal metal. It's like extracting juice, but it also brings him a lot of pain. It's very satisfying. Anyone want to try it? Guoran put his hammer down. It had to be noted that Guoran had previously said that a forging master would not allow others to touch their forging table or hammer. But this time, Guoran was breaking that rule for everyone. It's that great? Long Chen stepped forward, but he was too late. Someone else had taken the hammer. Dogs, hit Zhao Ritian, so such a day has come for you. Ah! Zhao Ritian's screams rang out as people repeatedly hammered him. Worried about the disturbance, Xia Chen set up a barrier to prevent the noise from spreading. Zhao Ritian's screams were like music in their ears. Long Chen, you bastard, a warrior can be killed but not humiliated. If you have the guts, then just kill me. Zhao Ritian's voice rang out, filled with hatred. The response was another strike of the hammer. Bang! With every strike of the hammer, metallic fragments flew out. Those fragments varied from about the size of a thumb to a single grain of cereal. Is this really fun? How do you play? Emon Yen took up the hammer and struck a few times. Zhao Ritian screamed with every strike, delighting Emon Yen. He started to smash more and more. Stop, stop, stop. Suddenly, Guoran cried out. Emon Yen had struck too much. Fewer and fewer fragments were flying out, and the final 2 strikes didn't even produce a sound from Zhao Ritian. You can't keep hitting, or he'll die. Then my precious cornucopia will be gone. Guoran hastily put away the forging table. Sensing Zhao Ritian's weak aura, he relaxed. It's a good thing this fellow's quite tough. He won't die so easily. Nice job, Guoran. This forging table of yours actually has such a use? Emon Yen looked at the forging table curiously. Even Long Chen was quite surprised by this. Guoran explained, this forging table actually has many runes that I haven't managed to figure out. Xia Chen has helped me out quite a bit. Recently, I found a space within it for breaking down immortal metal. Most likely, it's for the shattered remnants of divine items. But the runes are incomprehensible to me, so it's not too useful. Currently, it can only break down already smelted divine items, and not break them down directly. It's a laborious task to smelt down weapons, so I haven't really used this space much. But as soon as I saw Zhao Ritian, I thought of throwing him inside, using him as a chicken to lay eggs. And the result, Guoran laughed, very pleased with himself. This grand aspiration of his had been achieved. But if he doesn't have any more ores to absorb, won't the eggs stop coming? Asked Guyang. Guoran had exposed his plan to Zhao Ritian. If Zhao Ritian refused to absorb more immortal metal, wouldn't it be useless? Xia Chen shook his head. With Zhao Ritian trapped inside, it's not up to him. I managed to learn some more about the runes in that decomposition space. Some of them are gathering runes that I've seen before. My best hypothesis is that the forging table itself might be able to gather, refine, and smelt items all on its own. But the runes are too ancient for us to know how to activate them. Moreover, there are some parts of the forging table that seem incomplete. When Zhao Ritian tried to sneakily absorb the metals, I noticed that he could be controlled within the forging table. Let me show you something. Guoran, take out the immortal metal ores. Guoran summoned piles of ores. They were the most primitive ores that had yet to be refined in any way. Xia Chen patted the forging table a few times. He then took out 2 palm-sized formation discs and placed them on top of the forging table. After that, one particular part of the forging table lit up, its runes activating. Following that, the ores began to glow, and the light from the ores poured into the forging table. They were entering an iron bucket within the forging table. In the end, those ores turned dim and shattered, falling apart like mud. In just a few breaths, those piles of ore were completely absorbed and turned into trash. How strange. If Zhao Ritian has absorbed the ores, why hasn't his aura changed? Said Guyang. Bang. Guoran smashed his hammer on the forging table, and Zhao Ritian's scream immediately rang out. Everyone laughed. You wretches, you won't have good deaths. Just wait, the Zhao family will not let you off. You'll definitely. Zhao Ritian cursed furiously. The sounds of his curses made everyone's smile brighter. They all felt admiration for Guoran. Every existence had its counter, and Zhao Ritian was perfectly countered by Guoran's forging table. Boss, you can busy yourself. I have some work of my own to do. I'm going to turn all the ores I have into real metal. Then I'll go out looking for metal for Zhao Ritian. My goal isn't big. I just want to extract all the Star Field Divine World's immortal metal to create the best equipment for the Dragonblood warriors. That's the only way to make it up to our fallen brothers, said Guoran. That's a good idea. I'm at ease with your display. But don't just play around yourself. There are quite a few people who hate him outside. Let them vent and hear his screams as well, said Long Chen. You little fuckers. Zhao Ritian heard it all and cursed. He, a sovereign sprout of the divine families, was being treated as a tool for gathering metal and venting anger. He practically died from rage. Zhao Ritian was once more answered by a flurry of hammer blows. Fragments of metal flew through the air. Guoran and Xia Chen went to find a quiet place to purify their ores. With Zhao Ritian, those ores were quickly purified, and to an extremely high degree at that. However, many people followed them, saying that they wanted to help, when in reality they wanted to get a few smacks in as well. Hearing Zhao Ritian's screams, even Lu Zongying ran over. Emon Yen was going to follow Lu Zongying when Long Chen grabbed him. Can you grow up a bit? You're going to fight with them over this chance? Don't I have nothing better to do? You already stole the spotlight and are now the god of the Luo spirit race. I didn't get anything. Mo Nian shrugged with a strange flavor. That nonsense isn't important. How were the losses of your Mo gate? Asked Long Chen. We're all archers and we had your people's protection. Some of us were injured, but there were no casualties, said Mo Nian. Mo Gate's disciples specialized in long-range attacks, so the Dragonblood Legion and the Martial Heaven Alliance's disciples had taken care to look after them, keeping them at the center so they could unleash their attacks to help areas that needed it the most. Brother Long. Just at this moment, Hu Feng walked over, apologetically saying, I'm truly ashamed. My luck was terrible this time. The Heavenly Fate die actually summoned a low-grade beast. I wasn't able to help at all. What's a low-grade beast? Asked Long Chen and Mo Nian. It's not worth explaining. I wasn't able to help this time, but I won't let that happen next time. Brother Long, I'm going to leave now. I'm going to see if I can test my luck elsewhere. When we return to the Martial Heaven continent, I will definitely stand by your side, said Hu Feng. He turned and left. He just has to act so mysteriously, snorted Mo Nian. Where's Yun Tian? Asked Long Chen suddenly. Curious. He didn't even say goodbye. He's another fellow who likes acting mysterious, muttered Mo Nian. The sovereigns are unsolved mysteries. As a sovereign son, he definitely knows something. I've always felt that the Martial Heaven continent is hiding many secrets, but no one dares to reveal them, said Long Chen heavily. Ever since stepping into the cultivation world, the feeling that the Martial Heaven continent was filled with many secrets grew. He had encountered people like the Wine God Palace's High Priest, the Huayan Sect's Maryun, the Divine Ice Palace's Taoist Heavenly Feather. They all gave him an extremely mysterious feeling. He was closest with the High Priest, but the High Priest did not reveal what he knew about many things. In the Netherworld, Ming Tsongyue had said that the Martial Heaven continent was the core of a star field. After a terrifying battle, it had fractured, leaving only the core. It could be said that the Martial Heaven continent was just a broken piece of a whole. However, the Martial Heaven continent had gone through many battles throughout its history. Why were there no solid records of this past? Had those records been lost in the flow of time, or had someone intentionally destroyed that history? Why was it that the people who knew of it refused to say anything? What was taboo? The 5 sovereigns were mysterious existences. People only knew their names, but concrete things about them and their accomplishments could not be verified. As his cultivation base increased, Long Chen came into contact with more and more things. The waters of the Martial Heaven continent were extremely deep. It was precisely due to this that Long Chen had started to grow cautious. But this cautiousness made others think that he was a coward, resulting in some trying to take advantage of him. Long Chen was filled with fury inside. He hadn't wanted to stand out. He just wanted to secretly develop his and the Dragonblood Legion's power, preserving his own trump cards for any future crisis. However, there was always a group of people who refused to let him do as he pleased. They forced him to the brink until he had no choice but to strike back. In this kind of situation, Long Chen's full power had been exposed to everyone, while he knew nothing about other people's hidden power. That was the most dangerous state to be in. His trump cards were exposed, and others could easily counter them. This feeling was not a good one. But idiots like Zhao Ritian just had to provoke him. If Long Chen took one step back, they advanced 2 steps on him. The rage had only accumulated this entire time. What Long Chen needed was time, but his enemies wouldn't give him that time. So what he needed was to find some way to quickly increase his power. After chatting a bit with Mo Nian, the shameless Mo Nian said that he wanted to go see his wife. But Long Chen knew that this was an excuse to go see Guoran torment Zhao Ritian. Mo Nian currently possessed the power of the nether god Hong Yaoyang's mortal husk, but he didn't truly inherit Hong Yaoyang's power. Instead, he was using Hong Yaoyang's divine energy to nourish his own energy. His core energy was currently in a transformative state, and what he was using to fight was just Hong Yaoyang's power. Long Chen wanted to ask him what kind of situation he was in and how long it would take him to awaken his power, but that fellow refused to talk about it. Mo Nian had just left when Meng Qi, Chu Yao, Tang Wan'er, Yu Zhiqiu, Dong Mingyu, Ziyan, and the others walked over. Long Chen, are you feeling better? Asked Meng Qi concernedly. I'm essentially better. There are still some hidden wounds throughout my body that even Ling Shi wasn't able to deal with, so I'll probably need to rely on myself to heal those, said Long Chen. Ling Shi had helped Long Chen heal the majority of his wounds. But a portion simply would not recover. According to Ling Shi, those wounds were not wounds within the realm of the heavenly Daos. They were wounds from another set of laws that did not belong to heaven and earth. She could not do anything for those. Long Chen could only guess that those wounds were from the 6-star battle armor. He hadn't met the requirements to activate the 6-star battle armor but had forcefully done so anyway. This was the backlash. However, as a 9-star heir, this kind of wound shouldn't be permanent. It should slowly go away over time. Zither Fairy, many thanks for your help this time. Long Chen cupped his fists toward Ziyan. She had truly saved them. If it weren't for her and Dong Mingyu blocking Feng Fei, it was unknown if they could have even won. Even if they did, they definitely would have taken heavier losses. Ziyan smiled. Her smile was like a pear blossom blooming, gentle and dignified. I was only standing on the side of righteousness. The elusive Music Immortal Palace is a protector of the martial heaven continent. We don't just protect the safety of all life on the continent, we also protect proper convictions. Fortunately, we managed to walk along the same path. I remember back when I was hunted down all over by you, sighed Long Chen. Back then, Ziyan had firmly concluded that he was her devil star and was fated to become a homicidal devil. She had spent all day trying to convert him. At that time, their relationship had been extremely icy, and they had fought multiple times. At some point, Ziyan seemed to suddenly change, and even the attitude of the elusive Music Immortal Palace had changed. Although Long Chen had yet to run into the higher-ups of the elusive Music Immortal Palace, from Ziyan's display, it seemed that they didn't have any hostility toward him. Do you even know how to converse? Why bring up something so ancient that has nothing to do with anything anymore? Tang Wan'er glared at Long Chen. Ziyan was currently getting along quite happily with Meng Qi and the others. Tang Wan'er had even started to view her as being on the same side. Long Chen awkwardly laughed. He then suddenly noticed that Nangong Zuyu and Beitang Rushuang were gone. Before he could ask, Meng Qi said, "The two of them already left. They entrusted you to look after their disciples for now. They can cultivate here while the two of them go in search of their own opportunities." There was still quite some time until they could return to the martial heaven continent. Nangong Zuyu and Beitang Rushuang wanted to see if they could test their luck. With the two of them together, their safety was without question. As for their disciples, they didn't want them to continue taking the risk, so they stayed here. After such a terrifying battle, cultivators gained a much deeper comprehension into life and death. They could immerse themselves in those gains in preparation for breaking through to the realm above Netherpassage. Big brother Long Chen, I'm going to bring these big sisters to the top of the mother tree to look at our home. Do you want to come? Asked Qi Li. Qi Li was in charge of receiving guests. She had been preparing to bring Meng Qi and the others to the top of the mother tree, and it just so happened that Long Chen was by himself at that moment, so he came along. They all walked over to the main trunk of the mother tree. The Luo spirit race's warriors were gone from the ground. But looking up, they could be seen bustling all over the mother tree. Air streams were rising out of the ground. Without them needing to do anything, they rose through the air. The closer they got to the mother tree, the more boundless they felt its life energy to be. Long Chen knew that all he had done was help the mother tree's injuries. It seemed that the mother tree was absorbing the entire star field divine world's energy for itself. As they rose through the air, they quickly reached the mother tree's branches. From here, they could see far into the distance. They could gaze toward the majority of the star field divine world. You can see so far from here? Tang Wan'er exclaimed in delight. They saw various islands and terrifying walls of fractured space. The further they looked, the greater their sense of awe. This place is connected to the Mother God's spiritual senses, so as long as it is within the range of the Mother God's spiritual strength, you can see it. It is said that when the mother tree was in its peak state, the Mother God's spiritual strength could envelop the entire star field divine world, explained Qi Li. Chili, why do you sometimes say the mother tree and sometimes the mother god? Are there two names? Asked Long Chen. At first, he thought it was just a slip of the tongue. The mother tree is the mother tree, the mother god is the mother god. They are two entities with one body. The mother tree is life, the mother god is the soul. The mother tree has its own will, while the mother god is a consciousness that developed from the mother tree's soul, said Chili. Or you can say that I was born from the combined faith energy of the Luo spirit race. I am the faith of the Luo spirit race, as well as the one they go to for help. Ling Shi suddenly appeared beside everyone. Mother God! Exclaimed Chili excitedly. Ling Shi gently rubbed Chili's head. The mother tree was born at the same time as the Luo spirit race. Whether the mother tree came first or the Luo spirit race came first, not even the mother tree knows. But the mother tree and the Luo spirit race were not the original inhabitants of this place. As for where we came from, the karma is too heavy to explain to you. We would not wish for the heavenly Daos to lock onto it and unleash heavenly punishment. Can I ask if knowing things that you shouldn't know results in the heavenly Daos locking onto you? Asked Tangwan. The existence known as karma had always been a muddled existence to her. That depends on what you know. If it is something within the realm of the heavenly Daos, it will not threaten the heavenly Daos. To use the laws of your martial heaven continent to explain it, it could be considered a nation with its own perfect laws. As long as you act within those laws, you can do anything you want. However, if what you are doing exceeds the scope of those laws, you will be punished. I am not within the same scope as you, so I will not be affected by karma by explaining things to you. But when you return to the martial heaven continent, the karma will fall on you. It might harm you at that time, said Ling Shi. The executor and the judge are both the heavenly Daos? Then who controls the heavenly Daos? Asked Tangwaner like a curious child who wanted to get the root. Ling Shi simply smiled and didn't speak. Long Chen was the one who said, what's important isn't who controls it. The important thing is that the heavenly Daos are bigger than us for now. If we want to win, we have to act according to their rules. Unless we can one day overthrow the heavenly Daos, we have to make sure to stay within their laws. Ling Shi, am I right? Ling Shi shook her head. My apologies, but I cannot answer you. That would be the same thing as telling you the truth and would still invoke karma. All right, so it seemed that this kind of wordplay also wouldn't work. Long Chen sighed inside. He had thought that going around the topic could get him an answer, but it seemed Ling Shi was quite sensitive to karma. However, based on her words, it seemed that every world's heavenly Daos were different, just like every nation in the secular world. Within one nation, one action might be against the laws, but it might be fine in another nation. There were different sets of heavenly Daos. Didn't that mean that certain cultivation techniques could be limited by different heavenly Daos? For example, the 9-star Hegemon body art? Condensing the 6th star forcibly had resulted in a major backlash. But if he had condensed it in the martial heaven continent, would the laws have been different, resulting in no backlash? Senior, cough, Ling Shi, have you met other 9-star heirs? Asked Long Chen. I have. Ling Shi nodded. Can you show me images of them, or maybe scenes of them fighting so I can study? Long Chen started to grow excited. Sorry, but the 9-star heirs are not within the scope of the heavenly Daos. I cannot display them or their cultivation technique. I have seen them, but as time passes, my memories of them fade away. All I can remember is that I have met them. Not only them, you are the same. As time passes, my memory will gradually fade until I cannot even remember a name. I will only know that you existed, said Ling Shi. What? Then what about my wives? If we separate for a year or two, will they not remember me? Asked Long Chen appalled. Meng Qi and the others also jumped. They had never thought of such a thing. Ling Shi smiled. That will not happen. You come from the same world, so you won't be limited like that. Even people from other worlds will not forget you so quickly. However, if you die, not even your name will be remembered by others. People will remember your divine ring and your identity as a 9-star heir, but that is all. As for why that is, in truth, neither I nor the Mother Tree knows. Meng Qi and the others looked at Long Chen in shock. Just what kind of existence was a 9-star heir that it only allowed others to remember his status, but nothing about his history? They suddenly thought of the sovereigns. Weren't the sovereigns the same? People only remembered their names and that they had saved the continent. But as for what they had actually done, nothing was remembered. Long Chen, are you also a sovereign sprout? Meng Qi and the others came to a shocking conclusion. A sovereign sprout? Long Chen laughed. I'll never be able to have the same charisma as the sovereigns, nor will I obtain the entire continent's approval. The past sovereigns were respected by all beings on the continent, and they transcended the barriers between races to unite the entire continent's life forms against their enemies. As for me, I have enemies everywhere. I slaughtered all the disciples of the corrupt path and the sea demon race. Can I hope for them to call me sovereign? This battle had truly been intense. The Martial Heaven Alliance had lost 300,000 disciples. On the other hand, even excluding the heaven-devouring Black Armor Corps, the other side had lost almost 3 million disciples. The corrupt path and the sea demon race's disciples had essentially been wiped out. If any of them survived, they must be isolated within secluded places of the star-field divine world. Those little fish that hadn't joined in on this battle were very few in number. It doesn't make sense. The sovereigns were able to win over everyone, not just because of their amazing power but also their actions and integrity. I haven't seen other sovereigns, but Sovereign Mo Li truly gave off a feeling of being unrivaled, and it had nothing to do with his cultivation base. It was purely his charisma. Yun Tian possesses almost the exact same kind of nobility in every one of his movements. So why is it that Yi Ming, Feng Fei, Zhao Ritian, and the others wanted to kill him? He's a sovereign's descendant. Even if they don't want to submit to him, they shouldn't be enemies, right? Said Tang Wan'er, frowning. The others were also unclear on this. The sovereigns had saved the Martial Heaven continent repeatedly. Why was it that rather than respecting the sovereigns, they would want to kill one of their descendants? Was it really just due to the competition of the martial path? Was it all just for the shot to become a sovereign? Long Chen shook his head. There are definitely some people who know the answer, but they refuse to say anything. Since that's the case, I can't be bothered. We should just focus on ourselves. As for Yun Tian, he will definitely be standing on our side. Sovereign Yun Shang's descendant can be trusted. Before we leave this place, we should work hard on cultivating so that we can reach the peak as fast as possible in preparation for the realm above Netherpassage. We're still too weak. Within the same generation, there aren't many that can fight us. But whether it is the corrupt path, Pill Valley, or the divine families, they all have a terrifying foundation. They definitely have more than a few experts above Netherpassage. Against experts like that, we don't have the slightest chance of winning. Long Chen had killed the king of the sea demon race and Dongfang Yuyang, and they had captured Zhao Ritian. Perhaps the divine families were still unaware of Zhao Ritian's fate, but the six-horned sea serpent race and the Dongfang family were definitely aware of the deaths of their peak heavenly geniuses. Once Long Chen and the others left the star-field divine world, they would definitely be facing another fierce battle. In this world, the weak were prey to the strong. As reason could not be counted on, it didn't matter who was right. The only thing that mattered was whose fist was bigger. Heavens, we've entered the empty void up here. The stars are so pretty. Tang Wan'er suddenly exclaimed. At some point, they had reached the top of the tree's crown. Here they could see countless stars. It was as if the stars were right beside them, close enough to touch. Ling Shi, what is that river? Long Chen pointed to a black river. This river seemed to sever the entire star-field divine world. From the top of the mother tree's crown, they could sense just how vast and frightening it was. It was a river of darkness that caused even the surroundings to darken. It was as if the river was sucking in all light. Just looking at it made them feel like their souls were going to be sucked in. That black river was drawn over here by the invading experts during the battle from back then. It was called the River of Darkness by us. Due to its invasion, we were only able to restore the star-field divine world to its current state, and it can no longer reach its peak. This river contained dark energy that destroyed the source of the star-field divine world. The unending dark energy it releases is what supports those dark life forms, sighed Lingxi. Dark energy? Long Chen and the others were startled. They instantly thought of Yi Ming. Would Yi Ming draw out that black river's energy to fight them? As if seeing through his thoughts, Lingxi said, "You don't need to worry. At first, there were people controlling the river. Later on, they all died, so the river was abandoned and created its own laws. It has become the river path for the ghost ships as they pass through the past and future. Its dark energy has manifested another kind of law, and others are no longer able to absorb its energy. The human enemy of yours who possesses dark energy is unable to control it. His dark energy has not reached the highest level of purity to even attempt doing so." Hearing that, Long Chen felt better. Yi Ming was a scheming fellow, so they had to be careful of him. "Evil Moon, can you absorb the river's energy?" asked Long Chen. "No. That black river's energy has mutated and is bound by a different set of laws. I can't use it. There's no need to take the risk. My current power is more than enough for you to use. You're the one who is too weak right now. Yunshang's seal means I can only release my full power through you. If you weren't so weak, do you think I'd be bullied to this state?" Evil Moon sighed, like a tiger that had been bullied by a dog. "Fine, I'm sorry for your loss." Long Chen also sighed, somewhat apologetically. The dragon race was the proudest of all races. To follow a master like him, Evil Moon truly had suffered. The feeling of having power but not being able to release it was aggravating. Evil Moon was limited by him, its master. Long Chen suddenly clapped his forehead. "What a fool! Why didn't I ask Sovereign Yunshang to undo your seal? You're not a fool, you're stupid. The Yunshang that sealed me was at his peak. The one you encountered was nothing more than his past self. He could not undo this seal," snorted Evil Moon. "Well, we should have still tried it. What if it worked? What if my ass?" "I already asked him and he told me this," said Evil Moon irritably. Just as Long Chen and Evil Moon were talking, Lingxi brought everyone to the peak of the mother tree. Here, they were surrounded by stars. It was as if they were within a world of fantasy. How beautiful! The light of the stars illuminated Meng Qi and the others. Tangwana looked around at the starry sky in wonder. "You're all even more beautiful," said Long Chen. "You know how to talk." Tangwana laughed, blushing slightly. "This is the edge of this world and the limit of the mother tree," said Lingxi. "Haven't we already reached outside the world? It entirely feels like we can fly to the closest star from here," said Tangwan. "That is nothing more than a misperception. Those stars are such a great distance away that it cannot be expressed with words. The stars you see might not even be in the same space-time as us. They might be millions of years away from us or might not even exist any longer. Every star is its own world, just like the star-field divine world with its own laws. We can see them, but we are separated by space-time. If you want to go over, you will have to find the spatial node between the two worlds to create a passageway. Just like with the Martial Heaven continent, as long as two worlds are close enough, with their world barriers touching, it is possible to pass through a spatial node. It is different from minor worlds. Major worlds all have tough barriers to break through. To destroy two major worlds is comparatively easier than connecting two major worlds. Usually, only gods are capable of doing such a thing. It seems we've gotten off topic. I brought you here because this is a good place for comprehending the laws. The edge of the star-field divine world has the laws of two worlds clashing. Hence, heavenly Tao energy is rather plentiful here. You will be able to experience the most primordial world energy, so it doesn't matter what kind of energy you cultivate, you will be able to gain deep insights here. "Chu Yao, you can give a display," said Lingxi. Chu Yao was suddenly propped up by a branch that extended into space, and she turned a bit pale from how high up she was. Wood element experts were naturally a bit afraid of being thrown high into the air since their power stemmed from the earth. Suddenly, countless wooden stakes stretched out of Chu Yao's back. They were of various colors and had different runes on them. They were like thousands of hands stretching out into the void. Chu Yao suddenly grew delighted. The wood energy contained within the barrier of the world has millions of varieties. Therefore, you can choose the energy most suited to you to comprehend and absorb. Your wood energy also contains metal energy, so you can also absorb metal energy at the same time. The proportion will be up to you. Wood is easy to slash, flexible, but lacks sharpness. Metal is easy to shatter, lacks flexibility, but has plenty of sharpness. You can make up for the disadvantages of one with the advantages of the other. We are only at the edge right now, so if you want stronger power, you can reach out into the depths. There's no way to fly, but you also don't need to worry about falling because the mother tree will keep watch over you, said Ling Shi. Hearing this, everyone was delighted. Lu Rian then went over to Chu Yao's side, stretching out black wooden stakes that looked like vipers, emitting a shocking black qi. The qi of underworld corpses. You come from the corpse devil demon forest? Ling Shi stared in shock at Lu Rian. The corpse devil demon forest? What's that? Asked Lu Rian. She had never heard this name before. You don't know where you come from? Asked Ling Shi curiously. Lu Rian shook her head. I was just a seed back then. By the time I started to have memories, I had been tossed into the spirit world. I grew up there, so I don't know anything else. Lu Rian's gaze grew icy. This had always been a sore point for her. She had been abandoned in a foreign world, so she had no emotions for it. In her life, the only one she viewed as family was Chu Yao. She rarely spoke and was rather secluded. Did you grow up in an old battlefield with the bones of countless life forms buried in the ground? Asked Ling Shi. Lu Rian started and then nodded. The spirit world had its ancient battlefield with countless corpses, just as Ling Shi said. Then you are a life form from the corpse devil demon forest. You need to absorb the qi of corpses to grow up faster. Have you been stuck at a bottleneck recently? You've been unable to undergo your next metamorphosis, correct? Asked Ling Shi. Yes. Could it be? Lu Rian thought of something. Long Chen, this person is very dangerous. If she cultivates here, she will absorb the qi of corpse devils that has accumulated for countless years. She will then undergo a transformation and become impossible to control. Ling Shi sent a message to Long Chen. Her tone was rather grave. Long Chen was also startled. It seemed that Lu Rian's origins were very terrifying. Even Ling Shi was warning him. There is no need to control her. I trust her, responded Long Chen. Ling Shi seemed to want to say more, but she decided to swallow those words. Senior Ling Shi, can you tell me where the corpse devil demon forest is? If there's a chance, I'd like to go take a look, said Lu Rian. Chu Yao held Lu Rian's hand and nodded. She could sense her emotions. Lu Rian never spoke to others, but she had opened her heart to Chu Yao, so no secrets could be kept from her. Before encountering Chu Yao, Lu Rian had been filled with hatred for the world. She didn't know who her parents were or why they would cast her aside. In her memories, she vaguely knew that she had a father and mother. It seemed that when she was weak, they had bullied her. Upon growing stronger, she wanted revenge. In the spirit world, she had always been alone, and she didn't even know how long that period had been. Later, she had been imprisoned by Long Chen, and Long Chen had given her to Chu Yao. It was Chu Yao who had changed her because she could sense the goodness in Chu Yao's soul. From that moment, she had decided to follow Chu Yao for a lifetime. It could be said that only Chu Yao knew Lu Rian's secrets, and she had kept those secrets from everyone else, including Long Chen. Lu Rian was afraid of being alone, but she was also stubborn and proud. She never allowed herself to show it. Perhaps it was due to this that she rarely interacted with others. Chu Yao knew that Lu Rian had a desire to find her parents. But as for whether it was longing for family or for vengeance, Chu Yao didn't know. Lu Rian instantly grew excited upon learning that she came from the corpse devil demon forest. Long Chen held her hand to help her stay calm. The corpse devil demon forest is not in any one world. They go wherever they want to in order to cultivate. They break the walls between worlds and go wherever they please. They are vicious existences that are bloodthirsty and violent. They are the essence of corpses, devils, and demons. To tell the truth, as a fellow wood element life form, I don't like them. In my principles, they misinterpret the true essence of life, so I don't like them. I'm sorry, I don't say this to anger you. I just feel like you want to know my true thoughts, said Ling Shi apologetically. For someone as polite as Ling Shi to say that she didn't like them, perhaps that could be understood as being enemies. That was also why Ling Shi would send Long Chen a message as a warning. Many thanks, senior. Lu Rian then bowed deeply toward Ling Shi. Ling Shi's distaste for the corpse devil demon forest didn't affect her, as she had no sense of belonging toward them anyway. She just wanted to know where she came from. After that, Chu Yao and Lu Rian continued stretching into the void. The closer they got to the wall of the world, the stronger the energies of the heavenly Daos grew. Finally, the wooden stakes around Chu Yao wrapped into a cocoon around her. It seemed to be absorbing some kind of energy. Lu Rian also wrapped herself into a cocoon, but hers was black. The runes on top of it were like vicious centipedes, and the aura it exuded was hair-raising. This is... Meng Qi and the others were startled to see this. Lu Rian's aura instantly became far more sinister than before. The star-field divine world is filled with death qi from that battle, and this death qi does not dissipate due to the existence of the river of darkness. She can absorb that qi to strengthen herself rapidly, explained Ling Shi. Ling Shi, don't worry. No one is completely good or completely bad. Even the most wicked person has a good side. As long as their good side is turned toward us, they are friends. In any case, I myself am not some good person. If someone treats me badly, I treat them the same way. Right or wrong can only take a step back when it comes to keeping our lives. I want to keep living. Long Chen shrugged nonchalantly. Ling Shi nodded. I trust the vision of the 9-star heir. Perhaps only a 9-star heir can suppress such evil. Just then, the cocoon around Lu Rian grew bigger, stretching out even further. 8 legs grew from it, piercing into the void like a giant spider. The void rumbled and black qi swirled over, even affecting the mother tree's leaves. Black spots appeared on them, and they began to wither and fall. Long Chen's jaw dropped. Ling Shi said, she has absorbed enough core energy for her breakthrough and was only lacking this qi. Now, she has a chance to undergo her transformation and soar instantly. After this transformation, she will start awakening the inheritance of the undying willow. At that time, at the very least, she will not be weaker than anyone in the battle just now. Not weaker than anyone in the battle? In other words, she would be just as strong as Long Chen? That's a good thing. The stronger she gets, the happier we'll be. Hee. Cooling off under the protection of a giant tree is a good thing. It seems like I'll have to be nicer to Lu Rian in the future, said Long Chen with a mischievous laugh. Rian hates you. You'd best be careful not to get put in your place, snickered Tang Wan. They all knew that Lu Rian still disliked Long Chen for being able to suppress her back then. She even liked interjecting a few words that could cause him some trouble. In that aspect, she was a petty person. After laughing, Tang Waner also started cultivating. To avoid affecting Lu Rian, she went to a rather distant place. Wind blades whirled around her as she began to interact with the barrier of the world. As Ling Shi said, this wall contained all kinds of energy, so Tang Waner quickly found the wind element laws that she needed. She began to comprehend, corroborate, and absorb them. Tang Waner's manifestation appeared behind her. She was rather smart, as she could use her manifestation to quickly sense the wind laws. Yi Zhiqiu also went over. As soon as she went up, ice covered her entire body, and even the void around her was frozen. It became impossible to see anything but ice around her. Yi Zhiqiu's ice energy was truly frightening. Even the mother tree had to distance itself from her, making Ling Shi stare in shock. As Meng Qi went up, her spiritual strength's ripples spread, covering the top of the crown in a dreamlike color. Everything became indistinguishable between reality and illusion. The spiritual strength here, Meng Qi originally hadn't had much hope since she was a soul cultivator. But she found her manifestation activated on its own to envelop the entire tree crown. I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it myself. She has formed a resonance with the star-field divine world soul. You really are blessed. To be able to form a resonance with the world soul, your future accomplishments are limitless, said Ling Shi. She was extremely shocked at just how terrifying every single person here was. Mingyu, you should, Where did she go? Long Chen suddenly realized that Dong Mingyu, who had just been beside him the last time he had checked, was gone. She was the first to merge into the world's barrier. Even before I gave the introduction, she had started. Now, I don't even know where she went. Her aura concealing techniques are truly marvelous, said Ling Shi. Dong Mingyu had been the first to sense how special this place was. Perhaps being an assassin made her extremely sensitive to her surroundings. Ling Shi, can everyone else also come up here? Asked Long Chen excitedly. Such a good place had to be shared. Of course. It's no problem. Haha, that fellow Zifeng's sword Dao is definitely going to progress. The first one that Long Chen thought of was Yu Zifeng with his limitless potential. For him, coming up here is meaningless, said Ling Shi. What? Why is that? Asked Long Chen. The sword Dao is not encompassed within the heavenly Daos. Or rather, the sword Dao exists outside the heavenly Daos. It can be said to be above the heavenly Daos. Hence, even if he came, he wouldn't be able to benefit from the laws here, explained Ling Shi. Can you explain that a bit clearer? Probed Long Chen. He felt like he had heard others say that the sword Dao was above the heavenly Daos, but he didn't know what exactly that meant. I'm not very clear on it either. All I know is that the sword Dao is not within the heavenly Daos. I have some vague inherited memories that seem to say that the reason is related to the sword god. But I don't remember anything about the sword Dao. It seems that it's taboo, said Ling Shi hesitatingly. It seemed she couldn't be sure and didn't dare to randomly say something for fear of misguiding Long Chen. Then can I cultivate here? Asked Long Chen. Ling Shi smiled slightly. She just looked at Long Chen and didn't reply. Being looked at like that, Long Chen was embarrassed. As expected of the mother god of the Luo spirit race. Even though she wasn't used to communicating with humans, it didn't mean she was so easy to fool. She wouldn't reveal anything about the 9-star Hegemon body art. Long Chen awkwardly laughed. I feel like I should be able to cultivate here. Yes, definitely. Ling Shi smiled. I also feel like you can. All right, it seemed that they had come to a tacit understanding. Long Chen gave up tricking any information out of Ling Shi. After all, she was an existence that had lived for countless years, and his little ploys couldn't beat her. In the distance, the sound of a zither began to ring out. The white-robed Ziyen was sitting in the sky, and the 7-string C suppressing zither was quivering in front of her, spreading ripples to their surroundings. Ziyen's zither music was the music of the heavens, and she could use it to assimilate with the heavenly Daos. As she played, the world was immersed in her music. Long Chen sighed in amazement. Ziyen was truly like a fairy from the heavens. Her music was sacred and transcendent, and just listening to it could cleanse the soul. That beautiful feeling could not be expressed with words. Long Chen took a deep breath and drew himself from the music. If everyone else was cultivating, he couldn't laze about. Long Chen walked out to the very edge of space, which was the wall of the world. At first, the resistance wasn't too bad. But the closer he got, the greater the pressure. Rumbling rang out in his ears as he advanced. It was as if he was in a tsunami. Flames and lightning burst out. Without Long Chen summoning them, a lightning dragon and a flame dragon flew out. At the same time, the void shuddered. Flame runes and lightning runes gathered around them. Those runes varied in color and shape. Every one of them represented a kind of law. Big brother Long Chen, this place can let me recover my energy much faster. Huolinger transmitted a message to Long Chen excitedly. Having used the 9-star world extermination flame lotus, she had used up all her energy. Hence, she was happy to be in a place full of flame energy that could help replenish her energy stores. Lei Long was the same. Thunder boomed and the thunder force here seemed to be willingly absorbed. Huolinger, bring in the moon and star refining furnace with you as you recover. You can help me refine some more pills, said Long Chen. He then sent the moon and star refining furnace flying over to the flame dragon. Without Huolinger, the moon and star refining furnace couldn't refine pills effectively on its own. It would just be a waste of time if it tried to refine pills with its core flame. Now, Long Chen was preparing to attack the next realm. He had managed to activate the 6-star battle armor. However, in order to fully control its power, he would need to attain a higher realm. Bring me in too. The demon moon furnace flew out as well. All this time, Huolinger had been refining nethergate pills with the moon and star refining furnace, which made the demon moon furnace go crazy. Now that Long Chen wanted pills to advance realms, it could also refine them. The flame and lightning dragons coiled in the air, and their light grew brighter and brighter. Both of them absorbed all the various kinds of flame and lightning energy present. These energies came from the star field divine world. However, after observing for a while, Long Chen couldn't help frowning. Ling Shi, why is the thunder force here so much weaker than on the Martial Heaven continent? The Martial Heaven continent is the core of the star field. As for the star field divine world, it is nothing more than a corner of the star field that is no longer complete. The law representing the heavenly Daos heavenly punishment has dispersed here. Hence, the remaining lightning energy can only strengthen your lightning dragon, but it will not allow it to break through its current bottleneck, explained Ling Shi. Long Chen nodded. Long Chen had heard that the Martial Heaven continent was the core of a star field before. Ming Zongyue had mentioned it, along with saying that the Martial Heaven continent had a giant secret. Long Chen felt like he could comprehend Ling Shi's explanation, yet wasn't sure that he fully understood it. However, he didn't bother asking more questions, as he didn't want it to become awkward if Ling Shi refused to answer again. Long Chen then looked at the lightning dragon and the flame dragon. It seems that there's nothing here for me. Long Chen's gaze suddenly brightened. Ling Shi, can you give me a tree branch? Of course. Even if you want the toughest wood heart, it would be fine to give you a bit, said Ling Shi. No, just a branch is enough, said Long Chen, realizing that Ling Shi had misunderstood and thought that he wanted a weapon. Ling Shi stared at him questioningly. After that, she pulled at her hair, plucking out a single strand and placing it in Long Chen's hand. It then transformed into a 3-foot branch the thickness of a thumb. The wooden stick was dark green and heavier than an ordinary divine weapon. It pulsed with life energy. Long Chen thanked her and carefully planted it inside the primal chaos space. However, its life energy rapidly faded and it withered, transforming into a pile of dust that dispersed into the soil. What? Long Chen stared blankly. Just what had happened? He didn't bury it in the black soil, so how could it wither so quickly? What is it? Asked Ling Shi. Long Chen explained that he had a mysterious soil space that could grow all kinds of precious medicines but not this branch. Ling Shi said, every part of the mother tree is blessed by the Luo spirit race, and the mother tree is so powerful due to the Luo spirit race's faith energy. Hence, that branch was only useful within the realm of the star field divine world where the mother tree's energy can reach. Without faith energy sustaining it, its divine essence will quickly fade. The mother tree and I are manifestations of the Luo spirit race's faith. Without the Luo spirit race, we would not exist. Without us, the Luo spirit race would not exist. We are codependent existences. Hearing this, Long Chen sighed. His dreams of obtaining a forest of mother trees were destroyed. It seemed that he could only raise his demon trees. Alright, I give up. Are there any places in this world with particular evil creatures? I need a large number of corpses. It's very important. The heavenly Qilin demon trees had withered, and Long Chen wanted to revive them as soon as possible. Without them, he wouldn't even have the power to use the 6-star battle armor. Without an unending stream of life energy, he couldn't fight with it. There are plenty. The Poison Dragon Abyss, Heavenly Scorpion Canyon, the edge of the River of Darkness, or even a channel to another world, there are plenty of terrible beasts there. They are all enemies of the Luo spirit race, and we used to fight with them when the star field divine world was still complete. During that age, if it wasn't for the king of the spirit dragon race helping us, we probably wouldn't have been able to hold out. If you want corpses, I can gather my people for battle, said Ling Shi. Long Chen shook his head. The Luo spirit race has just endured a major battle. They should rest. Whether it is the Luo spirit race or my people, they all need some time to recuperate. Then what? The mother tree and I can only support the Luo spirit race in battle. We cannot fight ourselves, said Ling Shi. Sometimes problems don't always have to be solved entirely by martial power. There are some tricks that can save a huge amount of manpower. Ah, speaking of which, can your gaze help me find Yi Ming? I want to return his favor. I can't do it right now. The mother tree's current power is only enough to see the outline of the various lands. I cannot lock onto specific people yet, said Ling Shi. Oh, then forget about it. That lucky bastard, I have no time to handle him. Can you give me a detailed explanation about the 3 areas you mentioned, including the weaknesses, strengths, and habits of the life forms inhabiting those places? I'll come up with a battle plan, said Long Chen, a bit regretful. Having been led by the nose by Yi Ming for so long, he felt bad not paying him back. However, there was no way around it. Yi Ming was now all on his own. In a place as large as the star-field divine world, it was like searching for a needle in an ocean. After receiving a detailed explanation of the 3 areas, Long Chen descended down the mother tree. He then ordered the disciples of the Martial Heaven Alliance, the Xian Beasts, and the Dragon Blood Legion to gather. With Ling Shi's help, their injuries had healed and they were invigorated. Long Chen then sent them up the mother tree to cultivate. He only kept behind Guoran, Yu Zifeng, and Wild. Let's go. I'll bring you to a feast. Long Chen's group of 4 quietly left the mother tree. Big brother Long, Shu. Wild had just opened his mouth when Long Chen gestured to be quiet. At this time, Long Chen, Yu Zifeng, Guoran, and Wild were hiding behind a mountain, looking at a valley filled with ferocious beasts. These beasts included dragons, phoenixes, tigers, wolves, and more. Every one of them gave off a sense of immense pressure. Wild involuntarily swallowed one mouthful of saliva after another while he stared at them. After waking up, Wild was stuck in a weakened state, which was the only way for him to endure the pain of hunger. But that weakness was uncomfortable. Right now, he needed powerful meat, and those beasts were perfect for that. Hence, he began to drool. Moreover, Long Chen had brought them to take a look at the Poison Dragon Abyss and the Heavenly Scorpion Canyon. But they had left just after arriving. Now that they were here, Wild's stomach was rumbling like thunder. He almost couldn't hold back. Wild didn't know how to speak spiritually, and with his loud voice, even whispering was like shouting. Wild, endure it. We'll get you some food soon, comforted Long Chen. He then turned to Guoran. How is it? Can you handle it? I can, but I'm worried about drawing over something we can't deal with. Boss, I'm sure you can handle a single 13th rank beast, but if there are 2 or 3, we won't be able to endure. Wild is currently too weak to fight, said Guoran. Long Chen had brought them to scout the area before coming up with a battle plan. He had decided against the Poison Dragon Abyss and the Heavenly Scorpion Canyon because they were too spacious, and the terrain was not favorable to them. If they were surrounded by 13th rank beasts, they wouldn't be able to run. No need to worry. Ling Shi told me that these beasts came from a different world. The laws of this place are foreign to them, and they haven't fully adapted yet. Even after so many years, they remain in this valley with a spatial channel at the back that feeds them energy. Do you see that faint blue barrier? Once they leave that region, they will be suppressed by the laws of this world. Even if multiple 13th rank beasts come, we'll still be able to easily run. All I want to know is if you have some way to kill them in batches. I want a large number of corpses, the more the better. I'm in a rush too, so killing them one by one is too slow. Do you understand? Since the mother tree had recovered some of its power, Long Chen's group had been given a leaf that allowed them to move anywhere within the range of the mother tree's territory. They hadn't wasted any time traveling, so Long Chen hadn't had the time to explain everything. Then it's no problem. I still have quite a few bombs. With the exploding bombs providing support, fool, I brought you to the Poison Dragon Abyss and the Heavenly Scorpion Canyon to think of possibilities. For example, using the Poison Dragon's poison against these beasts to kill them all. Ling Shi told me that the beasts have been accumulating here for tens of thousands of years, so they might outnumber the black armor core buried beneath the mother tree back then. Even if they didn't resist and stuck out their necks for us to sever, how long would it take? Long Chen shook his head. Oh, I've been working on new armor and weapons, so I wasn't thinking properly. Cough. Well, the beasts here seem to be mostly furred beasts, so they shouldn't be particularly powerful when it comes to defense. As long as we get enough poison, my bombs can spread the poison and give them fatal wounds. With Zhao Ritian, I can gather the fragments of the bombs back. The main thing is that the poison dragons and poison scorpions aren't so easy to handle, said Guoran. The poison dragons were definitely frightening. If someone was stabbed by them, that could be fatal. They could also spit out toxic gas. Although their physical bodies weren't powerful, their toxicity was something they had to be cautious of. As for the scorpions in the Heavenly Scorpion Canyon, their defensive power was extremely high. Armored beasts were always a headache as their bodies were difficult to pierce through. They had almost no weaknesses, so killing them could only be done with brute power. Okay, since you don't have a better method, we'll go with my plan. We'll give up on the Heavenly Scorpion Canyon. There aren't that many of them and they lack flesh. I'll take charge of the Poison Dragon Abyss. Although they also lack the meat we want, we can get poison from them. The three of you can start launching some probing blows here to test their bottom line and get some food for Wild. For goodness sake, every time he opens his mouth, the smell of the corpse-devouring armored spiders bursts out. Despite his appetite, I'm sure he'll get tired of eating the same thing over and over eventually. You launch some probing blows here. Once I bring the first batch of dragon corpses back, you can launch the real attack, said Long Chen. Wild immediately grew excited. Long Chen truly understood him. Although he wasn't picky, he had truly gotten tired of eating the corpse-devouring armored spiders. Boss, I should go with you. There are countless poison dragons in the Poison Dragon Abyss. It's too dangerous, said Yu Zifeng. If there were poison dragons that had reached the 13th rank there, then it could easily be fatal. If both of them went together, they could look out for each other. No need. I have Evil Moon, so those poison dragons can't touch me. Let's split up. After that, Long Chen activated the leaf. A leaf-shaped rune appeared on his chest, and he vanished. Let's start. Guoran didn't hesitate. He summoned his battle armor and charged toward the valley. As soon as he appeared, the beasts inside the valley roared and attacked him. Damn, there's this many. When he entered the valley, Guoran was shocked to find that there was a special spatial law inside the barrier. These beasts were actually many times larger than they had appeared on the outside. Only once he was inside the valley did he see a giant channel in the distance. The channel was pitch black, but when Guoran entered the valley, he saw countless lanterns light up inside of it. In truth, those weren't lanterns but eyes, and they looked like stars in the cosmos. Guoran felt a chill, and he almost ran away. Yu Zifeng was already attacking. An eagle was cut down as it flew toward them, its head leaving its body. Wild grabbed it before it even landed on the ground, sucking it into his bowl and devouring it. I'm finally getting some good meat. Wild sighed in gratitude. He had almost forgotten the taste of proper meat. The corpse-devouring armored spiders had cast quite a shadow on him. The first ones to arrive were the flying beasts. They let out heaven-shaking roars as they attacked the three of them. Yu Zifeng's sword danced in the air as he cut through them like tofu. His sword chi was even capable of cutting Zhao Ritian's immortal metal body, so flesh and blood was easily sliced. Seeing that Yu Zifeng was so powerful, Guoran relaxed slightly. His own weapons, dual sabers, had been destroyed by Zhao Ritian, so he was using 2 backup sabers for now. Even peak 12th rank beasts were nothing before Yu Zifeng's sword chi. Every slash of his sword killed a mass of them. This was the terrifying power of a sword cultivator. Their sword chi was a special kind of energy, and its sharpness was not limited by laws. That was why they were said to be number 1 in terms of offense. A cultivator's magical arts or battle skills could not manage to concentrate all their power onto the thin edge of a blade like sword chi could. While the larger hammer was definitely stronger, when it came to the ability to kill in one blow, a small knife surpassed it. Yu Zifeng cut down countless beasts with his sword chi, which contained the will of the sword Dao. Those struck had their souls extinguished. Yu Zifeng was the main force, while Guoran provided support. Although Yu Zifeng's killing power was terrifying, his defensive power was particularly lacking. He killed those beasts easily, but if they got close to him, they had the potential to kill him in one blow. Suddenly, a roar rang out that made those beasts suddenly retreat. The void exploded, revealing a giant claw that smashed toward them. "A 13th rank beast," exclaimed Guaran. He slashed with both his sabers. Boom! Guaran's backup saber shattered, and he was smashed into the ground. Just at that moment, the owner of the claw, a wild lion, appeared in front of Yu Zifeng. This lion's fur was the color of blood, and it had 2 heads. Even its eyes were scarlet. Guaran had managed to draw over and block its attack, while Yu Zifeng's sword fell once more. Blood splashed. What? Yu Zifeng was shocked to find that he could only cut open its skull with his attack. He wasn't able to go any deeper. The 2-headed tiger then roared in pain, and a powerful sound wave resounded through the sky. It pounced on Yu Zifeng. Yu Zifeng was about to dodge when a furious roar rang out. All of a sudden, a giant door bolt smashed into the lion's head. The door bolt landed on the already injured head, causing it to explode. When one head was destroyed, its body began to spasm. Wild attacked with the door bolt again, striking the other head. That head caved in, and then Yu Zifeng followed up with an attack, cutting it in 2. The 3 of them managed to kill a 13th rank beast by working together. Wild excitedly ran over and started eating the lion. Every bite filled him with energy. Wild, eat later, run now. Guaran crawled out. His armor was covered in cracks. When he saw the spatial channel in the distance, his soul almost fled from his body. Long Chen's vision changed as he arrived at the edge of a bottomless abyss that looked like a gaping maw in the ground. Dragon roars occasionally rang out from within. This was the Poison Dragon Abyss, the main lair of the poison dragons. According to Ling Shi, this place was also a 10,000 dragon nest. The king of the poison dragons had been the heaven-devouring fiend King Steed. However, that poison dragon had been killed by the king of the spirit dragons. Despite that, the poison dragon king had managed to strike the spirit dragon king with its poison, which resulted in the spirit dragon king's death in the end. If it hadn't been for that poison, the heaven-devouring fiend king wouldn't have been able to fight to the death with the spirit dragon king. In order to preserve its power, the fiend king had hidden the poison dragon's 10,000 dragon nest within an abyss. Due to its existence, there was an evil chi present that was poison to the Luo spirit race. After spending so many years developing, there were now countless poison dragons inside. Demonic bugs had also grown from the evil chi and were the main sustenance for the poison dragons. The poison dragons inside seemed bound by some law and were unable to come out of the abyss. They could only be active within. Even after so many years, they hadn't charged out into the star-field divine world. The Luo spirit race was unable to provoke them, so they had coexisted for all these years. Based on Ling Shi's estimate, those poison dragons had a spiritual seal placed on them. As for the one to lay down that seal, it was most likely the heaven-devouring fiend king. It was one of his backup plans for when he revived, as they would be his new army. However, those plans were destroyed when Yi Ming set his gaze on the fiend king. The latter had been possessed by him, becoming his tool. In the end, Yi Ming had detonated his corpse, so the poison dragon abyss was truly a masterless existence now. Evil Moon, do you have a way to control them? Hehe, if I could bring an army of poison dragons to the martial heaven continent? Long Chen looked into the abyss and saw poison dragons hibernating like bats. What's the point of bringing back a pile of trash? Without the Dragon King, this 10,000 dragon nest can't even produce poison dragons of the 13th rank. They're nothing more than reptiles to those experts above Netherpassage. They can destroy these dragons with a wave of their hands. You're hoping they'll be of help against experts of that level? Evil Moon snorted disdainfully. There are no 13th rank poison dragons here? Asked Long Chen. The poison dragon race's 10,000 dragon nest is different from the spirit dragon races. The king of the poison dragons will only permit those absolutely obedient to him to progress. Otherwise, they'll threaten his existence. It's a bit similar to the dark evil dragon race. My subordinates had to swear on their soul and blood to be loyal to me in order for me to allow them to advance to the 13th rank. If someone went against that, they would be suppressed by the laws of the 10,000 dragon nest, and I would immediately go eat them, said Evil Moon lightly. What a con, snorted Long Chen. You're a human. You don't understand. Without those bindings or suppression, dragons will definitely fight back. They'll eventually try to kill me and replace me. Are you not afraid of your subordinates betraying you one day and taking your place? Retorted Evil Moon. If they want to take my place, why would they kill me? If they want to be the boss, I'd happily give them the spot. It would save me from being so tired all the time. I'd like to find a big tree to rely on, said Long Chen. Furthermore, they're not my subordinates but my brothers. The reason we could band together is because we are unwilling to be controlled by fate. We have a similar goal, which is to live freely and with dignity. Within this chaotic world, who knows how much longer we'll live? Just like this, we had some brothers who are forever gone. We're still too weak to control our own fates, so why would they bother fighting for the position of boss? Long Chen sighed. This battle had shown him that he was still too weak. Perhaps he couldn't yield any longer. Any further yielding would draw himself into the abyss of death. Let's not talk about those things. Do you have a way to help me subdue those poison dragons? Asked Long Chen. I do. Ha, great. No. What? Because I won't tell you. What the fuck? Raged Long Chen. They're a disgrace to the dragon race, an insult to our sacred and noble blood. They shouldn't exist in this world. If you want to kill them, I'll help you. But if you want to subdue them, then you understand, said Evil Moon. Fine, then let's kill them. I want their poison. Long Chen could only acquiesce. Alright, prepare yourself, Buzz. Suddenly, space fluctuated and Chi Li appeared with millions of the Luo spirit race's warriors. Why are you all here? Asked Long Chen, startled. We came to help. We can wipe out the poison dragons together, said Chi Li excitedly. It's very dangerous. Once the poison dragons charge out, it'll cause huge casualties. Don't mess around and go back, said Long Chen directly. He had fought countless battles, but he still hadn't managed to harden his heart to the point of calmly seeing the people beside him die in battle. The sight of the Luo spirit race's disciples self-detonating to buy him time was a nightmare to him. He didn't want to experience something like that ever again. Chi Li's eyes reddened. Rather than being scared away, she stubbornly said, although we're not as strong as you, we're not afraid of death. We have a duty to eliminate enemies for our fallen clansmen. We're not going to retreat because of fear. That stubbornness made Long Chen feel an urge to both laugh and cry. He was unable to scare her off. He was going to try to persuade her one more time when Evil Moon suddenly said, have them stay. They can be of help. Although we can't use them here, they'll definitely be useful on Guoran's side. Long Chen was startled and quickly understood Evil Moon's intentions. He nodded, and to Chi Li, who was bitterly holding back tears, he said, fine, you can stay. But you have to listen to my orders. Only then did Chi Li smile and wipe away her wet eyes. After that, Long Chen slowly walked into the abyss with Evil Moon, and countless poison dragons charged over. You just have to circulate your spiritual strength. Leave the rest to me, said Evil Moon. Suddenly, a black two-headed dragon appeared behind Long Chen. Its 4 eyes had flickering runes inside of them, and its appearance caused the world to rumble. Damn, this is your true body? You have 2 heads? Exclaimed Long Chen. When Evil Moon woke Long Chen up last time, he was in a strange state and couldn't remember this form. Shut up. Do you even know how mighty a 2-headed evil dragon is? I'm a genius that might not appear again in millions of years. If you don't talk so much, you won't appear so stupid, roared Evil Moon. Long Chen was startled by Evil Moon's anger. It seemed that having 2 heads was one of Evil Moon's proudest points. This roar contained a mighty dragon pressure. Affected by it, the poison dragons suddenly stiffened and fell, unable to move. Dragon pressure suppression? Long Chen stared, surprised. The poison dragons fell to the ground, their bodies stiff. After that, they stared in terror at Long Chen, or more accurately, they stared at Evil Moon behind him. Damn, you're amazing. Why didn't you use this during the last battle? Asked Long Chen. What do you know? Those poison dragons were corpses being controlled. Spiritual and bloodline pressure are useless against them, snorted Evil Moon, still angry at Long Chen's foolishness. Amazing, truly amazing. Evil Moon, why can't we discuss? Shut up. If you want to enslave them, I'll immediately retract the dragon pressure. Raged Evil Moon. Long Chen could only give up on that thought. He turned to Qi Li. Qi Li, you can go kill them now. Bring me their poison stingers, poison claws, poison fangs and poison sacks. Qi Li and the others stared blankly, having anticipated a fierce battle. However, they hadn't expected the poison dragons to instantly lose their ability to fight back upon seeing Evil Moon. After that, the Luo spirit race's warriors quickly shot arrows that stabbed through the poison dragon's eyes, instantly killing them. These frightening poison dragons were killed easily. Qi Li also led a group to clean up the corpses that piled up. She then pulled out the things that Long Chen asked. When no more poison dragons flew out, Long Chen went in deeper and had Evil Moon retract its dragon pressure to avoid scaring them. After an hour, 7 waves of poison dragons had attacked, and at this point, Long Chen ran out of spiritual strength because Evil Moon was unleashing its dragon pressure through his spiritual strength. Hence, he didn't go any deeper and walked out, sending the piles of corpses into the primal chaos space. When the poison dragon corpses landed in the black soil, the withered heavenly Qilin demon trees finally began to show signs of life once more. This time, Long Chen had gained over 800,000 poison dragon corpses. When the corpses landed in the black soil of the primal chaos space, they were quickly devoured, and the heavenly Qilin demon trees began to thrum with life once more. This allowed Long Chen to relax slightly. It was only with the heavenly Qilin demon trees that he could barely use the 6-star battle armor. Having this trump card available again made him feel much more at ease. Although the heavenly Qilin demon trees had yet to fully recover, it still gave him some confidence. Let's go. Long Chen led Qi Li and the others away, activating the leaf once more. A rune appeared on his chest, and they were transported to the Valley of the Wild Beasts. When they arrived, Long Chen couldn't see Guoran and the others anywhere. Boss, over here? Long Chen finally saw Guoran hiding within a pile of rubble and jumped in shock. Guoran was covered in blood, and his armor was badly damaged, on the verge of shattering. What happened? Asked Long Chen. Boss, if you weren't my boss, I'd really think you were trying to con us. We were attacked by 4 13th rank beasts at the same time and almost died. If it weren't for Wild breaking a golden eagle's wing, we wouldn't have been able to run. Guoran almost cried. This was his first time being so unlucky since entering the Starfield Divine World. 4 13th rank beasts? Long Chen sucked in a cold breath of air. The Luo spirit race's warriors were just as shocked. The fact that Guoran, Yuzifeng, and Wild had managed to survive such an assault was a testament to how tough their lives were. Long Chen looked into the distance and saw fresh blood in the valley. There had definitely been a bloody battle, and there were still some corpses left behind. Countless beasts inside were vigilantly keeping an eye on their surroundings. However, Long Chen didn't see a single 13th rank beast. Back then, the 3 of them had joined forces to kill a 13th rank beast, but that had drawn out 4 terrifying beasts from further within. Yuzifeng had unleashed his sword qi on them repeatedly, but they were too powerful for his sword qi to leave any fatal wounds on them. As the battle went on, Yuzifeng was almost killed by a golden eagle's wing. It was fortunate that Wild was strong enough, and he managed to break the golden eagle's wing with his door bolt. Only then did the 3 of them manage to use their speed to escape from the other 3 beasts. After escaping, they didn't dare go back. If they had gone any deeper, they would have been surrounded and probably would have died there. At that time, their lives had truly been hanging by a thread. The 3 of them had been waiting here the entire time since then. Now, Wild was busy eating the 13th rank beast that they had killed. His mouth was bloody. Boss, this place is too terrifying. Even if they can't leave the domain of the blue barrier, we can't deal with them, said Guoran. If 4 13th rank beasts had come out in an instant, then who knew what was deeper? No need to worry. I've obtained the good stuff. Chen began to take out house-sized poison sacks filled with black liquid. These are the poison dragon's poison sacks? Ran cautiously opened one of them, only to find that the poison didn't have any odor, confusing him. Evil Moon said that those poison dragons had spent a long time consuming demonic bugs which strengthened their poison even more than the ones that we fought against before. You just need to turn it into poison mist, and you can instantly poison all of the beasts here. I've already tried it, and it was very convenient, said Chen. Ran took out an arrow and dipped the arrowhead in the poison. When he took it out, the arrowhead had turned pitch black. The poison had automatically merged into the metal. Damn, this really is convenient. Ran immediately took out a huge number of arrows and tools. After that, he poured the poison into a giant vat, and the Luo spirit race's warriors immediately stepped forward to help. Chen warned them all to be careful. This poison was extremely potent. If they were nicked by a poison arrow, it could instantly take their lives. The Luo spirit race's warriors also knew how terrifying these things were, and they were cautiously slow. With their help, things rapidly progressed. Chen then called Ran to turn the poison stingers, poison claws, and poison fangs into tiny bone fragments. The Luo spirit race's arrows were made of wood containing sacred energy that allowed them to easily pierce armor. But those arrows could not be poisoned. However, these poison stingers, claws, and fangs already had poison in every inch of them. They contained 3 different kinds of poison, one for pain, one for paralysis, and one for corrosion. If these fragments entered the body of a 13th rank beast, the poison would automatically be released. As a result, it was these fragments that were the true killing weapon. Chen had Ran bind those fragments to the wooden arrows. If shot into the body of a beast, then probably even a 13th rank beast wouldn't be able to endure being shot by too many. As a result, the millions of Luo spirit race warriors became Chen's most dependable helpers. Ran took charge of the poison bone fragments, while the Luo spirit race's warriors quickly poisoned the arrows. With their immense manpower, they were finished in just half a day. Ran was now confident and ready to charge right back into the valley. However, just as he was about to charge back in, he suddenly courteously said, "Boss, something as badass as this should be left to you to lead. This little brother will support you from the rear." Chen curled his lip. Ran was most definitely worried about his broken armor and didn't want to take the vanguard. You can stay with Qi Li and control the tempo of the battlefield. Zifeng, Wild, and myself are enough. Chen charged into the valley, with Wild and Yu Zifeng following. As soon as they entered the valley, countless roars rang out. Those beasts glared at Chen through the blue barrier with an ominous light in their eyes. It seemed that they were waiting for him to enter so they could tear him to pieces. Split the heavens 8. Chen swept Evil Moon out horizontally, and a black crescent moon shot out. It quickly grew as it flew through the air. After that, Chen followed this crescent moon forward. Only now do I understand what the old man meant about the essence of the 8th form. While the blade leaves the body, the soul resides within it. Only then does the attack contain its own soul. I was never able to find that feeling before, but I can sense it easily now. Is it due to the 6th star? Wondered Chen. As the crescent moon left Evil Moon, Chen felt a subtle connection between it and his soul. Before this, the 8th form's attack would have its power constantly ground down as soon as it left the blade. The 8th form was strongest just as it was unleashed. As it flew through the air, its power began to scatter, and it was impossible to concentrate it. That was a common problem with all battle skills. However, in a battle between experts, who would allow Chen to unleash his strongest attack right next to them? That was why assassins were so terrifying, because their power was concentrated and erupted in an instant. Such an attack was the most dangerous. However, no matter how lethal an attack was, if it couldn't reach the opponent, it was meaningless. So the most terrifying thing about assassins was not necessarily their attacks, but their ghost-like movement techniques. Other than the attacks of assassins, other attacks were essentially all large-scale attacks. Once the attack left the body, it would leave the control of the user. This was common knowledge. However, now Long Chen had gained insight into the old man's realm. When the eighth form of Split the Heavens left his body, he could merge his soul with it, strengthening it as it passed through the air. The crescent moon continued growing, and rumbling rang out. It was as if the world was being cut in two. Guoran and Yu Zifeng were dumbfounded to see this. They had seen Long Chen use Split the Heavens many times, but they had never seen such a phenomenon. The crescent moon was not scattering, but growing stronger and stronger instead. This had already escaped the realm of common sense of battle skills and magical arts. Finally, the crescent moon fell upon those beasts, tearing through the blue barrier. Those beasts were cut through as easily as tofu, and blood filled the air. The most shocking thing though was that normally Long Chen's attack would explode at this moment, but now it continued onward through the beasts. Long Chen followed his attack, his divine sense still locked onto the giant crescent moon. In that instant he felt like the ruler of heaven and earth, as if he possessed the power to split heaven and earth, as if all Daos in this world existed for him. It was a feeling he couldn't explain. Long Chen focused on his attack as he had to fully comprehend this power. If he couldn't, then whether or not he could replicate this attack next time would be up to luck. Countless beasts were cut in two by Long Chen's attack like wheat being reaped. That sight stunned the Luo spirit race's warriors. Heavens, as expected of the prophesied son. He only grows stronger and stronger, exclaimed the Luo spirit race's warriors. They had witnessed Long Chen use the eighth form of Split the Heavens before, but this time his attack was many times stronger. In just a few days, he had managed to completely transform the same technique. They couldn't help being stunned by Long Chen's talent and comprehension ability. His growth rate was astonishing. The giant blade swept through the entire valley before finally exploding, transforming into a mass of runes. After those runes faded, it revealed a valley empty of beasts. Damn, boss is growing more and more monstrous. Guoran was gobsmacked. Just at this moment, furious roars rang out from the channel at the back of the valley. Countless beasts poured out. Boss, be careful. Those four fellows have come out again, shouted Guoran. He saw the four beasts that had almost killed them within that tide of beasts. 6-star battle armor. 6 stars lit up within Long Chen's divine ring and a berserk aura erupted. In the face of a giant rhinoceros, he unleashed a single punch at its head. Boom. The giant rhinoceros was sent tumbling back by Long Chen's punch. After that, a huge wave of earth exploded, and even the other 3 13th rank beasts were affected and staggered back. Damn! Guoran's jaw dropped. Those 13th rank beasts were incredibly powerful. Back then, they had been forced to flee miserably by them. Yu Zifeng's sword chi was only able to leave a cut on their necks and unable to cause any lethal wounds. Hence, this scene was hard to believe. However, while the rhinoceros was sent tumbling back, fresh blood poured out of Long Chen's arm. As expected, it's still no good. This power is too violent. No matter how careful I am, it's useless. Long Chen looked at his bloody arm and sighed. However, he was also pleasantly surprised by how powerful the 6-star battle armor was, and he looked forward to when he could fully control it. Long Chen retreated from the state of the 6-star battle armor. After that, he slashed Evil Moon at the rhinoceros's neck, shouting, "Zifeng!" Yu Zifeng instantly understood and unleashed a streak of sword chi. Long Chen's attack caused a cracking sound to ring out when it landed on the rhinoceros's neck. Although he managed to break its bones, he was unable to sever its head. Just at that moment, Yu Zifeng's attack accurately landed on the wound Long Chen had made. Blood splashed and a mountain-sized head flew into the air. What? Long Chen jumped, not having expected Yu Zifeng's attack to actually kill it. He had thought that at most, Yu Zifeng might be able to cut apart its bones and not its whole head. It's thanks to Boss's saber attack just now. Because of it, I managed to break through a bottleneck that has trapped me for many years, said Yu Zifeng excitedly. When Long Chen used the true essence of the 8th form of Split the Heavens, it gave Yu Zifeng the spark of insight he needed to break through his bottleneck. His sword Dao required comprehension, and Long Chen's insight allowed him to understand an aspect of his sword Dao as well. This understanding was then what allowed the power of his sword Dao to soar. Boom. Just at that moment, Wild's door bolt smashed into the golden eagle. Both sides were knocked back. Again. All right. Long Chen and Yu Zifeng grabbed hold of that opportunity, once more attacking from the left and right. Sword Chi and a saber image sent the eagle's head flying. After 2 attacks, a hint of rosiness appeared on Yu Zifeng's face. He was just about to attack the third 13th rank beast when Long Chen suddenly shouted at him. Zifeng, stop. Retreat. Yu Zifeng stared at him blankly, but he still flew back. Long Chen grabbed Wild and also retreated, but he didn't forget to grab the 2 corpses on the ground. Gua ran, attack, shouted Long Chen. As a result, arrows rained down and miserable roars came from those beasts as they fell. The poison dragon's poison was so powerful that even these powerful beasts were only able to struggle for a few breaths' time before dying. Boss, Yu Zifeng suddenly felt the world spinning around him, like he was about to faint. Your soul was affected. Just now, there was definitely something wrong with your 2 attacks. The saber Dao is not a match for your sword Dao. You can use it as a reference, but you can't imitate it, said Long Chen. After Yu Zifeng had unleashed his second attack, Long Chen noticed something off. Yu Zifeng's spiritual strength could only be considered average because a sword cultivator did not cultivate the body, the soul, or magical arts. They only cultivated the sword in their hand. Other than their sword Dao, everything else about them was lacking. The 8th form of Split the Heavens required a domineering spiritual strength as a foundation. It was very different from the sword Dao's light and graceful attacks. Although Yu Zifeng's comprehension skill was very high, he had yet to completely think it through and had already put his new comprehension to use. Because of this, his attacks just now had deviated slightly from the sword Dao, resulting in a backlash. That was why Long Chen immediately gave the order to retreat. If they were surrounded by those beasts, he wouldn't be able to look after both Wild and Yu Zifeng. Boom. As expected, even 13th rank beasts were unable to endure the poison. A spotted tiger finally fell to the ground once it was turned into a hedgehog from the rain of arrows. It had been struck by tens of thousands of arrows. Despite the arrows barely being able to pierce its tough hide, the poison was too strong. The other 13th rank beast also let out one last unwilling roar before collapsing. As for the other beasts charging out, they also fell to the ground. A mountain of corpses quickly piled up. Wild, hold the line. Quickly clean up the battlefield, shouted Long Chen. He had the Luo spirit race's warriors suppress the channel with their arrows, while the others quickly grabbed all the corpses. After just a few seconds, rumbling came from the channel, and more 13th rank beasts came flying out. Seeing that, Long Chen immediately gave the order to retreat. Long Chen and the others quickly retreated to outside the barrier. In just a moment, the space within the barrier was already packed with powerful beasts. Amongst them were over 10 13th rank beasts. They roared furiously, but they didn't dare to charge out of the blue light. Long Chen led everyone away. Finding a secluded place, they began to count their spoils of battle. Zifeng, are you all right? Asked Long Chen. Boss, I might need to go into seclusion to fully digest this spark, said Yu Zifeng. Long Chen nodded. He then sent Yu Zifeng back to the mother tree, the best place to go into seclusion. Once Yu Zifeng had fully explored his new insights, Long Chen believed that he would be much more terrifying. The 4 13th rank beasts' corpses were given to Wild. As their meat possessed such immense power, even Wild could only eat them one mouthful at a time. Also, it was a good thing that he was immune to poison and could eat the 2 beasts that had been poisoned to death. As for the other corpses, Long Chen tossed them into the primal chaos space. The heavenly Qilin demon trees had grown slightly listless after he activated the 6-star battle armor and needed to heal his arm, but with the addition of millions of corpses, that loss was negligible. There were so many corpses that there wasn't enough space to place them all. Hence, Long Chen ended up with a mountain of corpses on top of the black soil. They were slowly devoured. After that, The abundant life energy caused the heavenly Qilin demon trees to grow wildly. Since there was no way for Long Chen to grow a forest of mother trees, he could only focus his attention on the heavenly Qilin demon trees. They had originally reached a height of 300 meters, but as the huge amount of life energy filled this space, they quickly grew. After just 2 hours, all the corpses were absorbed, and the heavenly Qilin demon trees reached a height of 3,000 meters. They had grown 10 times taller, but the amount of life energy they contained was more than 100 times greater. At this point, they finally grew out of their sapling state. Branches and leaves had sprouted, growing in every direction. Let's go back to the poison dragon abyss. Long Chen was so excited that he almost started shouting. If the heavenly Qilin demon trees had possessed this much life energy in the last battle, he would have dominated the battlefield. Even if he was constantly injured and healing while he fought, he would be able to exhaust them to death. As long as he wasn't killed in an instant, it could be said that he also possessed an undying body. As for the Tao wounds in his body, although the mother tree was powerless to heal them, the heavenly Qilin demon trees caused them to quickly heal now that their life energy had reached such a level. As a result, Long Chen could be said to have recovered to his peak condition. After that, they returned to the poison dragon abyss. As Long Chen's spiritual strength had essentially recovered, Evil Moon unleashed its dragon pressure once more. On their way, Guoran and the others killed the terrified poison dragons and harvested their poison sacs and other things. This time, Long Chen went deeper than before, and he finally saw the giant 10,000 dragon nest. But at this point, his spiritual strength ran out once more. After cleaning up the battlefield, he didn't wait for more poison dragons to come out, and they retreated again. They then returned to the Beast Valley and unleashed their poison arrows, killing the beasts. After using up their poison arrows, they hunted again in the poison dragon abyss and so on. Things repeated themselves. After a full 7 days, Long Chen didn't have any idea just how many poison dragons he had killed or how many beasts they had gathered. In any case, Just Wild already had 230 13th rank beast corpses. That was not counting the ones he had eaten. Moreover, the heavenly Qilin demon trees were flourishing. They had finally reached a height of 300 miles. Every one of them contained an astonishing amount of life energy. It felt like Long Chen had an endless spring of life now. Boss, the poison dragons have all been killed. Guoran shrugged, standing inside the 10,000 dragon nest. Damn. It's too bad the 4 divine bones have had their energy sucked away. Well, if not for that, it wouldn't have been able to produce so many poison dragons, said Long Chen regretfully. Alright, call out Zhao Ritian to do his work. He can absorb the 10,000 dragon nest. There's definitely an enormous amount of immortal metal contained within it. In front of everyone's shocked gazes, the giant 10,000 dragon nest began to turn to ruins. Long Chen Guoran, you won't have good deaths. Unless you kill me, I'll definitely make you live a life worse than death. Zhao Ritian's miserable scream came from the forging table. His voice was full of bitter resentment, as he had been turned into Guoran's tool for extracting metal. With the forging table's runes suppressing him, he couldn't even fight back. He could only obediently absorb immortal metal for Guoran, and once his power reached a certain level, Guoran would start forcing that immortal metal out of his body. Guoran was very cautious about this. He didn't want Zhao Ritian to recover too much and be able to break his seal, so he immediately smashed the metal out of him once Zhao Ritian had absorbed enough. Zhao Ritian's hatred for Guoran could no longer be expressed with words because he had used up all the curse words he knew. He had even made a few new ones, but that didn't resolve the hatred in his heart. Fortunately, Guoran had gotten used to his cursing, and he continued striking him with his hammer, causing the immortal metal to fly out of Zhao Ritian's body. After he was done, he left with Long Chen. The channel in the Beast Valley had also been emptied, and they finally saw what was on the other side of the channel. It was a giant altar. The beasts had been killed, so there was no need to keep this channel. Long Chen then destroyed the altar, severing this channel between the star-field divine world and whatever world the beasts were coming from. Both regions had been destroyed by Long Chen. After a bit, Long Chen was preparing to go to the Heavenly Scorpion Valley, but Ling Shi stopped him. Ling Shi said that the Heavenly Scorpion Canyon was now the only training area of the Star-Field Divine World. It wasn't good to destroy it. Furthermore, the Heavenly Scorpion Canyon was the weakest of the three regions. Leaving one place for the Luo spirit race's warriors to train was good. Moreover, they couldn't threaten the Luo spirit race's safety. Due to those reasons, Long Chen left the Heavenly Scorpion Canyon as it was. After that, he brought everyone back to the Mother Tree. There, he saw that everyone had climbed to the peak of the Mother Tree and had gone into seclusion. The Lightning Dragon and Flame Dragon were already done with their training. Unfortunately, the flame and lightning energies here were only enough to allow them to recover their energy, not to let them make a breakthrough. Since staying any longer was meaningless, they returned to Long Chen's body. Long Chen was also planning on going into seclusion. The Moon and Star Refining Furnace and the Demon Moon Furnace had refined a huge number of pills for him that could allow him to advance. Boss, don't go into seclusion. If you do, I'll be on my own. I can't go looking for ores by myself. What if I run into Feng Fei or Yi Ming? I don't even have my battle armor any longer. Who knows whether or not Zhao Ritian has a way to message Feng Fei? You have to stand guard, or I can't go out, said Guoran. Although Guoran was able to quickly transport himself within the range of the Mother Tree's territory, an opponent like Feng Fei was more than capable of locking space and preventing him from fleeing. Since Guoran had Zhao Ritian in his hands, he wanted to use him to the fullest. Moreover, Guoran's goal was to gather all the ores of the Star-Field Divine World, so he was itching to get started. Fine, I'll go with you. I can cultivate while you gather the ores, said Long Chen. He could eat pills wherever. After that, Long Chen and Guoran were quickly transported to one of the Star-Field Divine World's largest mineral deposits. According to Ling Shi, there were over 10 large veins of ore in the Star-Field Divine World. Those ore veins were so large that even someone like Zhao Ritian would need a few centuries to absorb them all. Therefore, Ling Shi only pointed out 4 of the purest veins, and Long Chen and Guoran chose to go to one of those locations. Upon arriving, they saw a golden mountain range. Damn, the immortal metals are already revealed on the surface. The purity of this vein is incredibly high, exclaimed Guoran. He quickly took out his forging table. It went without saying that Zhao Ritian was truly amazing. This giant ore vein rapidly dimmed, and in just half a day, the majority of those ores were sucked away. Then Guoran got to work with his hammer. Between Zhao Ritian's screams and curses, fragments of immortal metal came flying out. After that, Guoran put those away and continued gathering ores. This giant vein was filled with precious immortal metals, and not just one kind of them. There were hundreds of different immortal metals here. It was a very rare place. Guoran was particularly fond of this place because the wide variety of immortal metals meant that he could forge even stronger battle armor for himself. As Guoran got to work, Long Chen didn't slack off. He kept an eye on Guoran while he consumed pills. The 4th step of Netherpassage was the peak of the Netherpassage realm, the 9th Heavenstage. However, Long Chen had 13 Heavenstages to go through due to the 9-star Hegemon body art. He was currently at the 9th Heavenstage. That was the end of the Netherpassage realm for others, but not for Long Chen. He had no idea how these final Heavenstages were supposed to be cultivated. All he knew was that he needed to consume pills if he wanted to advance. When he had reached the 4th step of Netherpassage, he had relied on the life and death spring. But now he had to rely on medicinal pills. During this time, the Moon and Star Refining Furnace and Demon Moon Furnace had refined mountains of pills. Looking at those pills, Long Chen felt nauseous. His stomach rebelled. After that, Long Chen took a deep breath and activated the evil dragon race's Swallow the Heavens, Devour the Earth divine ability. In this state, Long Chen's stomach was like a devouring space. Fuck, I'll go all out. Long Chen grabbed a basket filled with spirit pills and demonic pills, which were all top-grade giant pills. Long Chen then opened his mouth, and those pills poured into his body. Rumbling rang out as those pills entered his stomach. They were like volcanoes exploding, unleashing a huge amount of energy. Long Chen had expected a powerful impact from consuming so many pills. However, it wasn't as big as he had expected, as he didn't feel uncomfortable at all. His stomach simply grumbled. You've activated the 6-star battle armor, and your physical body has gotten stronger from it. These pills can't injure you, so you can be at ease, said Evil Moon. So that's it. Long Chen immediately started devouring more and more. If it was before, he would need to rest for a while after consuming so many pills in order to digest the medicinal energy. But now he had no need to rest. His stomach could endure the torrent of medicinal energy pouring through his body. Long Chen could clearly feel the medicinal energy pouring toward the Fengfu, Alioth, Life Fate, Enlightenment Palace, and Divine Gate stars. However, that energy was not shared with the 6th Nethergate star. The energy of the pills poured only to the 5 stars. Could it be that the final 3 heaven stages of the Netherpassage realm had to do with the 5 stars? Long Chen's divine ring automatically appeared along with the black and white energies within the 5 stars. Life and death energy connected them. If he simply allowed this life and death energy to connect the 5 stars, then there was no way that it could create a cycle. That was because there was an extra star disturbing the cycle, the 6th star, the Nethergate star. It's doomed. Long Chen's heart sank, and he began to sweat. Even Evil Moon was silent. It seems that my cultivation order was wrong. Long Chen's voice trembled. I want to comfort you, but you're a smart person. Evil Moon sighed. Only at this moment in his cultivation did Long Chen realize that his life and death energy was trying to enter the image of a 5-point star. That perfectly matched with the 5-star battle armor's image. However, now that he had already summoned the 6-star battle armor, the Nethergate star was shining brightly. The 5 stars in the divine ring had become 6. That was why, as his life and death energy tried to connect the 5 stars, it repeatedly failed. The Nethergate star disturbed the flow of life and death energy. Sweat soaked Long Chen's back, and he thought of a terrifying possibility. That was that it was forbidden to fully activate the 6th star within the Netherpassage realm. As a result, he now had no idea how he was supposed to take his final steps in the Netherpassage realm. Was his cultivation of this peerless cultivation technique about to be crippled just like this? Long Chen felt an unprecedented fear. If he was crippled like this, then there would be nowhere for him to go in this world. Everyone he cared about would die to his enemies. Thinking about this, Long Chen's hands quivered. In the distance, Guoran was still pounding Zhao Ritian, not sensing Long Chen's fear. Long Chen's head was empty, and his palms were sweaty. His life and death energy continued to try and condense the 5-point star in his divine ring, but it was useless. After that, a strange sound began to come from the 5 stars in his divine ring. Upon hearing that, Long Chen felt like his heart was no longer pounding. He felt like the heavens were playing a huge joke on him. He could almost hear fate laughing at him. The cruelest thing in this world was to give you endless hope and then give you despair. With his cultivation path severed, all his dreams became illusory. He wasn't even qualified to undo the secrets of his origins. Long Chen clenched his fists. At the same time, his teeth creaked and his hair stood on end. He was furious. Why was the 9-star Hegemon body art playing such a joke on him? Why hadn't the Pill Sovereign Memories not mentioned this? Why was there nothing indicating such a giant cultivation taboo? Long Chen calmed down. Perhaps there's another way, shouted Evil Moon upon seeing the darkness reappearing in Long Chen's eyes. Calm down? Fuck that. Since I've deviated from the correct cultivation technique, I'll deviate it all the way to the end. Long Chen let out a furious roar. After that, the life and death energy flowing within his divine ring suddenly exploded. What are you doing? Don't be impulsive. Evil Moon cried out in shock, feeling like Long Chen had gone mad. The life and death energy within Long Chen's divine ring was vainly trying to create a 5-point star. However, that energy suddenly exploded, and Long Chen coughed up a mouthful of blood. You're crazy. You want to forcibly change the circulation of your cultivation technique? This was no ordinary cultivation technique. The 9-star Hegemon body art was something that even made Evil Moon feel afraid. It definitely had a frightening origin. Now that Long Chen had cultivated it in the wrong order, he wanted to forcibly change the foundation of the technique. But was that really possible? Every cultivation technique that was inherited had been passed down by countless generations who had already improved them as much as possible. It could be said that after going through thousands and thousands of revisions, they had even received the approval of the heavenly Daos. Hence, every cultivation technique that remained in the world could be said to be as perfect as possible. Even a regular battle skill or magical art was essentially set in stone and could not be changed, let alone a technique like the 9-star Hegemon body art. Despite Evil Moon's roars, Long Chen didn't stop. Furthermore, Evil Moon knew Long Chen's character. He wouldn't change his decision no matter who tried to convince him. In the end, Evil Moon fell silent, sighing. The 5-point star kept appearing within Long Chen's divine ring and then exploding. As a result, Long Chen repeatedly hacked up blood. Looking worried, Guoran ran over, only for Long Chen to gesture for him to stay away. He had no other path to walk. He had no Dantian, so he couldn't cultivate other cultivation techniques. The 9-star Hegemon body art was his only option. "You're going to break and bend to my will." Long Chen roared furiously. The 6th star quivered, forcibly changing the shape of the 5-point star. Suddenly, cracks covered Long Chen's entire body. It was as if he was about to explode. Long Chen, stop. A cultivation technique on this level cannot be changed by anyone, not even a god. Evil Moon finally couldn't help interjecting again. If this continued, Long Chen would die. I refuse to believe it. Since it chose me, it shouldn't try to tease me. Since it is mine, it has to serve me. I will not be controlled by it. I am me, and no one can control me. I'm going to gamble. From today onward, it will submit to me. This 9-star Hegemon body art is mine. Long Chen clenched his teeth. He vaguely realized something. However, this realization could not be confirmed, and since he had no other choice, he could only gamble. If he won, he could continue on his path. If he lost, everything would come to an end. All of Long Chen's spiritual yuan, physical energy, and spiritual strength poured into his astral spaces and then flowed toward his 6 stars. This was opposite to the normal flow of the energy of the 6 stars entering his astral spaces and then the rest of his body. Rumbling rang out and berserk power clashed against the 5-point star in his divine ring. As a result, the 5-point star was repeatedly destroyed and reformed. With every explosion, Long Chen's body was heavily injured, but these injuries were not being healed by the primal chaos space's life energy. Perhaps it was due to coming from the same source. It could be considered harming himself, so it was different from his other injuries. If this continued, perhaps he really would die. However, Long Chen didn't budge. Even as he didn't heal, he continued to stubbornly suppress the 5-point star. The 5-point star had been broken dozens of times now, every time reforming according to its original circulation. On the other hand, Long Chen was covered in blood and was on the verge of collapse. Looking at him, Guoran was appalled but had no idea what he could do. Anyone else would give up after failing so many times, but Long Chen didn't. He had to succeed no matter what. As a result, the ground turned red with his blood. Every failure caused fresh blood to splatter out even more. Evil Moon wanted to stop Long Chen, but it understood him. To give up or change his mind implied that he was giving up fighting against his fate, that he was giving up hope. His cultivation path had been severed, resulting in his combat power never advancing again. To the prideful Long Chen, he would rather die than accept such a conclusion. If Long Chen didn't continue cultivating, then even ignoring that he would never fulfill any of his dreams, he and the Dragon Blood Legion would be facing a miserable death as soon as they left the star-field divine world. Hence, Long Chen had no choice but to gamble. However, after being in contact with him for so long, Evil Moon had no confidence in Long Chen's luck. Yun Shang, as the first-generation sovereign, you wouldn't have misjudged him, right? Evil Moon sighed silently, praying for Long Chen. Long Chen's body cracked like porcelain, signifying that he had reached the limit. He had failed 99 times. 99 failures are fine. Just one more time. I'm going to do it. Long Chen clenched his teeth, or he tried, but he lacked the energy to do so. His body was now no longer under his own control. A light touch from someone else could shatter him. All his energy had been exhausted. All he had left was only enough for one final attempt at shattering the 5-point star. The first 99 tries were all repeats of the same failure. Now, his power and body had reached their limits. This was truly his last attempt. If he gave up, he would still have his life. If he continued trying, there was practically no chance of success. In all the previous 99 attempts, the 5-point star had not shown any sign of submitting. At this time, a normal person would hesitate. But Long Chen didn't. Boom. The 5-point star in his divine ring exploded again, and Long Chen's body was given the final blow to its destruction. As he collapsed, the 5-point star slowly reformed just like before. Long Chen could vaguely feel his body collapsing as his consciousness descended into darkness. Failure? I'm sorry everyone. Long Chen's consciousness sank deeper and deeper. He felt like he had descended into a bottomless hell. You are you, but you are not you. So why do you have to be like this? Why do you refuse to give up? A faint sigh rang out from within the darkness. The voice contained a gentle note, as well as sorrow. Cough. A coughing fit pulled Long Chen out of the darkness and into the real world. Immediately, he felt a sharp pain throughout his entire body. I'm still alive? This intense pain felt like a good thing. Boss, you're awake. Guoran cried out emotionally. Help me sit up. I can't breathe like this. Long Chen weakly lay there. Guoran carefully propped Long Chen, taking out something for him to lean on. Boss, did you end up bedeviled? Asked Guoran. From the side, Guoran had essentially watched Long Chen as he tried to kill himself. Guoran had no idea what Long Chen was doing. It was only when Long Chen collapsed that he ran over. At that time, he found that Long Chen's aura was gone, and the flame of his soul was extremely weak. He panicked. Moreover, he was no healer. If he made the wrong move here, it might only quicken Long Chen's death. His head turned empty, but just at that moment, Long Chen woke up. Fuck, it was still a failure. Once I recover, I'll have to try again. Long Chen took a deep breath, which caused his wounds to flare up. Long Chen instinctively used the primal chaos space's energy to heal, but then he remembered that these wounds weren't being healed by the primal chaos space. However, at this moment, his wounds began to rapidly heal on their own, and in just a few breaths' time, his wounds were gone. Other than his spiritual yuan and spiritual strength still being empty, his body was normal. What? Long Chen was pleasantly surprised. After that, he consumed a few recovery pills. After recovering a bit, he summoned the divine ring to replenish his energy faster. However, when he called it out, he noticed something off. His aura was different from before. I've reached the 10th Heavenstage? Long Chen realized that his aura had grown, and his spiritual yuan was more condensed. His spiritual strength was also a bit stronger. That was a sign that he had advanced. After that, Long Chen circulated his little bit of life and death energy, but when he circulated it, the 6 stars in his divine ring slowly appeared. He was in a normal state and not the 6-star battle armor state. At this moment, the 5-point star once more appeared in the divine ring. However, this 5-point star no longer possessed its stubborn will. Following Long Chen's will, it instantly changed shape, and the 6 stars absorbed the little bit of life and death energy he had remaining. Congratulations on succeeding. Evil Moon sighed. This was inconceivable, incomprehensible. According to reason, it was impossible for Long Chen to succeed. A success. Long Chen suddenly raised his head and laughed. He felt like crying from emotion. Only someone who had experienced despair and finally regained hope would know just how moving that feeling was. In that instant, Long Chen became filled with confidence toward the future again. Long Chen, there are some things that I shouldn't say at this time, but I can't help it, said Evil Moon after hesitating. Speak. I know you don't want to give me a blow while I'm down, right? Long Chen still smiled. Correct. You have managed to change the method of cultivating your technique. But that also signifies that you have completely deviated from the original path of the 9-star Hegemon body art. Chen smiled. No one taught me or warned me. I was essentially leaving things up to fate before. After fighting with the other 9-star heir, I realized that I had deviated from the 9-star Hegemon body art's cultivation path. Now that it's fully deviated, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It means that starting from the 6th star, I'm in charge. That's quite a lofty ambition. Although I don't know the origin of your 9-star Hegemon body art, it's definitely the most frightening cultivation technique I've ever seen. When my power merges with you, my soul is bound tightly by it without the slightest ability to resist. It's such a terrifying cultivation technique, but now you've decided to mess around with it near its end. Do you think you have the ability to create a new 9-star Hegemon body art building on its foundation? Asked Evil Moon. If I said that I do, would you believe it? Asked Chen lightly. No, said Evil Moon without hesitation. I don't believe it either. What kind of time is it for your fucking jokes? Raged Evil Moon. Who has the time to care? No matter what, the 6-star battle armor has already formed. It corresponds to the realm above Netherpassage. As for the path above Netherpassage, well, a way will show itself once I get there, laughed Chen. Having changed the path of the 9-star Hegemon body art, he felt like he had caught sight of a new path for himself, a path of limitless possibilities. He had never managed to fully comprehend the 9-star Hegemon body art, so he had been forced to cautiously guess around. However, now this cultivation technique belonged to him, and his future path was in his own hands. He preferred this feeling. Although he knew that the 9-star Hegemon body art was an extremely terrifying cultivation technique, and that trying to blaze a new trail for it was practically as difficult as ascending the heavens, he liked having his fate in his own hands. After resting a bit and recovering 30% of his spiritual strength and spiritual yuan, Chen returned to consuming pills to increase his cultivation base. Seeing that he was fine, Guoran got back to mining with Zhao Ritian. 3 days later, Chen's divine ring began to rumble once more. The 5-point star appeared again, only to be shattered by the power of the 6 stars. Its energy was consumed by the 6 stars, and that energy bathed Chen's astral spaces in divine light. As a result, Chen's aura soared once more, and he could sense his physical body growing stronger. He knew that due to the strengthening of his astral spaces, his world energy and physical body were growing as well. This was one special aspect of the 9-star Hegemon body art. As his world energy grew, his 6 stars unleashed energy that nourished his body, allowing him to control his new world energy. This mysterious connection allowed him to fully use his new power. The 11th heaven stage. Chen finally realized that the final 3 heaven stages were used to balance the power of his physical body and his 108,000 astral spaces. At this moment, Chen clenched his fists and it brought forth a thunderous sound. Upon unleashing a single punch, the void shattered, and the wind blasted through the mountain in front of him. This was a mountain containing extremely tough immortal vein ore. Although Guoran had absorbed plenty of its immortal metal, it still crumbled from the wind of Chen's punch. I've increased my realm by 2 levels, and my physical strength has increased by around 30%. Based on my previous experience though, every realm increase after the 9th heaven stage should cause my physical strength to double. Chen's mood started to fall. Clearly, the reason the increase this time wasn't so high was because the efficiency of his new 9-star Hegemon body art had fallen. This was not a good start. Whatever. Let's keep going. Chen shook his head. Since he had chosen this path already, there was no point in regrets. He could only figure things out along his way. Just the fact that he had 3 more realms than other people meant that he had a huge advantage. 10 days later, Chen had yet to reach the 12th heaven stage, but Guoran had essentially finished sucking away the ores of this vein. They then switched locations. The new location was a desert, and the ore vein was located beneath it. Since that was the case, Guoran brought Zhao Ritian underground to continue mining, while Chen continued consuming pills. After 7 days, the 6 stars lit up once more, a sign that he had reached the 12th heaven stage. To test his strength, Long Chen then unleashed multiple punches, resulting in a whirlwind of sand exploding. After a while, Long Chen stopped and smiled. My physical strength has almost doubled compared to before I started. He had essentially consumed all the pills he had accumulated during this time. Fortunately, the moon and star refining furnace and the demon moon furnace were busy refining more pills. Once he had enough, he could attempt to break through to the realm above Netherpassage. Originally, Long Chen had been worried about not being able to keep up with everybody else's realm. If Yi Ming, Feng Fei, and the others advanced before him, it would be troublesome. However, he was no longer worried about that. No one would attempt to advance beyond the Netherpassage realm within the star-field divine world. All he knew was that the old man and Chu Jiangying had warned him more than once that advancing beyond the Netherpassage realm would have to wait until he returned to the martial heaven continent. However, no one had mentioned why. It seemed that there was some taboo. In any case, Long Chen's 12th heaven stage could be considered equivalent to everyone else's 9th heaven stage, so he was now just one step from the next realm. This realm was very mysterious, as no one had brought up what this realm had to do with. Even the senior generation refused to answer questions about it, making their disciples quite curious. During the next few days, Chen also came over. He had come out of seclusion and immediately joined forces with Guoran. With Chen's formation, Zhao Ritian's mining efficiency multiplied. 10 days later, they had sucked away the majority of the ores in the 4 largest veins. According to the mother tree, they should not suck away all the ores. Those veins had their spirituality. If they weren't all sucked away, they would leave the seed for more ores to be born. This way, it would not destroy the balance of the world. Guoran and the others were quite ashamed to hear about this. Before this, they had always mined all ore veins that they found until they were empty. After that, they returned to the mother tree. Guoran and Chen got to work, and it was to undergo a second refinement of the immortal metals. Of course, their main tool was still Zhao Ritian. Zhao Ritian was not just capable of gathering metal ores. He also had the powerful technique of refining immortal metal. Otherwise, his source metal wouldn't be so powerful. With Chen and Guoran taking turns, they forced Zhao Ritian to refine the immortal metal. The metal that they beat out of him would be even stronger than his normal source metal once they forged it into armor and weapons, adding the corresponding runes. With Zhao Ritian present, everything went extremely smoothly. Hundreds of pure immortal metal ingots went through Guoran's forging, becoming incredibly precious swords and sets of armor. He was able to create hundreds of them a day. As for Zhao Ritian, he cursed and screamed every day, but Guoran and Chen simply laughed. They continued squeezing him of his metal, not giving him even a moment of rest. Zhao Ritian even had an urge to die. He thought of killing himself several times, but with a formation master like Chen present, as soon as showed any signs of that, Chen would be alerted and stop him. After several attempts at this, Chen set up a new formation. Now, every time Zhao Ritian started accumulating energy for an explosion, he would be automatically struck by a hammer. In Guoran and Chen's hands, Zhao Ritian was truly living a life worse than death. He had been cast into hell. Zhao Ritian hated the two of them to the bone, but Chen and Guoran loved him to death. With Zhao Ritian, their life felt beautiful. They were able to gather and purify precious metals in the fastest, most efficient way possible. This time, the Dragonblood warriors' new weapons and armor were all made thanks to Zhao Ritian. Their power was many times greater than before since the new material that they were made of was capable of enduring stronger runes. Even Guoran and Chen were unable to calculate just how much stronger they were. As for Guoran's own weapons and armor, he had further purified the metal that had come out of Zhao Ritian to make them. Zhao Ritian's source metal that they hammered out of him was already at an extremely high level of purity. Moreover, Guoran had spent a great deal of time and effort to further purify it twice. With such high-quality material, his new armor was definitely his strongest battle armor ever. As Guoran and Chen worked on the equipment, Meng Qi, Chu Yao, Tang Wan'er, and the others began to come out of seclusion. They were all clearly refreshed and had reached the full circle of Netherpassage, possessing the power to break through to the next realm. What Long Chen hadn't expected was that Nangong Zuyu and Beitang Rushuang had also returned. The two of them were still in seclusion on top of the mother tree. However, the two of them had brought back a startling piece of news. They had encountered Dongfang Yuyang. What? Long Chen was shocked to hear that. How was that possible? He had clearly killed Dongfang Yuyang. Lady Nangong said that this matter is absolutely true. The two of them even fought with Dongfang Yuyang. Because of it, Lady Beitang was injured, so the two of them returned here, said Ziyan. She was also shocked by this matter, but Beitang Rushuang and Nangong Zuyu couldn't possibly be wrong about this. They had even fought against Dongfang Yuyang. With their power, they would have seen through a disguise. Dongfang Yuyang? So he has some tricks. Long Chen nodded. There was definitely something queer about this. He had actually been fooled. But it's fine. I could kill him once, so I can kill him twice. No need. I'll kill him next time. Lu Ruyan's icy voice rang out. Hearing her voice, Long Chen looked toward her and jumped. Lu Ruyan's aura had changed, becoming extremely cold and sinister. She was like a different person. Now, her long and narrow eyes vaguely had black runes appearing and fading in them. Looking into her eyes could make a person feel like their soul was being sucked inside. Boss, let's go hunt down Yi Ming and the others, proposed Gu Yang, instantly causing the Dragon Blood warrior's eyes to light up. Long Chen shook his head. Now is not the time. The majority of everyone's armor has been badly damaged and is no longer suitable for battle. As for Yi Ming, we have no idea where he is. Within the vast star-field divine world, it's no different from searching for a needle in an ocean. It's a waste of time. Yi Ming now only has himself to look after, so he's not afraid of any consequences and can sneak attack us at any time. Right now, we want to prevent him from feeling cornered, rather than forcing him to do something that we'll all regret. Meng Qi nodded. Long Chen is right. Yi Ming is most dangerous now that he has nothing holding him back. With the corrupt path's viciousness, he's definitely thinking of every possible way to kill us. His target isn't just Long Chen but all our allies. We can't give him that chance. After saying that, she saw Long Chen with a light smile. Hence, she blushed slightly and demanded, "Why are you looking at me like that? Did I say something wrong?" Long Chen's smile widened. "As expected of my trusted wife, you even plan strategies for us." Meng Qi turned even redder. Long Chen was actually teasing her in front of everyone. She was so bashful that she couldn't say anything. "If you dare to tease Big Sister Chu Yao like this, I'll definitely attack you," said Lu Ruyan with extreme hostility. Long Chen looked her up and down and shook his head. "You're still looking for a reason to avenge the grudge from back then? I say, why are you so petty?" "Women are petty. Did you not know that?" Lu Ruyan snorted indifferently. This grudge had always been kept in the back of her mind. "I don't know what power you've awakened, but no matter how strong you get, I can still suppress you," said Long Chen a bit irritably. It seemed that after getting stronger, her arrogance had also gone a bit out of control. To challenge him in front of the entire Dragonblood Legion was definitely a provocation. "Alright, if you were wrong, then you were wrong. Apologize to Ruyan," interjected Chu Yao. "I was wrong." Long Chen pointed at his nose in disbelief. When did Chu Yao become this unreasonable as well? Was this the same Chu Yao that he knew? "Yes, you were wrong." Chu Yao giggled. "Then tell me, how was I wrong?" demanded Long Chen. Chu Yao's eyes crinkled with a crafty light, and she began to raise her fingers. "First, as a man, you quibbled with a woman. Second, as a leader, you stooped to the level of your subordinates to argue. Third, as a mighty hero who has beaten countless enemies, you decided to fight against someone like Lu Ruyan, who has been alone her entire life. She is like a child. You, someone who stands at the peak of the world, are essentially arguing with a child. Are you not embarrassed to do such a thing? Tell me, don't you think that this is wrong?" Long Chen stared at her for a long time, unable to come up with a way to retort. His dumbfounded appearance elicited laughter from Meng Qi and the others. Long Chen shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Fine, I was wrong. Now Long Chen understood why people said not to argue with women. The moment he tried, he lost. There was simply no way to talk reasonably with women. To try was very foolish. What made him feel most helpless, though, was that Chu Yao's words somehow seemed very reasonable. He wasn't even able to point out exactly what was wrong with them. Lu Ruyan's icy expression finally broke into a smile. She then clapped hands with Chu Yao to celebrate their victory. Everyone was startled by this smile. Having known Lu Ruyan for so long, they didn't recall her ever smiling. Although she wasn't like Yi Zhiqiu, who was an embodiment of ice, she also gave off a feeling of keeping others away. That smile was like a flower blooming. Although it was beautiful, it was gone in the next moment because she noticed everyone staring at her in shock. "You actually know how to smile?" asked Long Chen. This was inconceivable. "Is it any of your business?" Lu Ruyan returned to her normal iciness. Long Chen shrugged. Chu Yao was correct that he shouldn't argue with a petty woman. "Long Chen, when we get back, we can make our breakthrough to the realm above Netherpassage. At that time, we won't need to be afraid of anyone," interjected Meng Qi to break the awkward air. The world above the Mother Tree had helped them a great deal. After having cultivated there, the heavenly Tao energy had corroborated their cultivation paths. As a result, their mental realms had advanced and already touched upon the next level. The Mother Tree's guidance allowed them to reach this level most likely even faster than the Divine Family's disciples. Once the Dragonblood warriors advanced above Netherpassage, they really wouldn't need to fear anyone, not even the Divine Families. It probably won't be so easy. The realm above Netherpassage contains some kind of secret, or we would know its name at least. Furthermore, we'll have to deal with the various large powers on the continent when we return, especially the Corrupt Path, the Ancient Family Alliance, the Sea Demon Race, and the Zhao family of the Divine Families. They won't let us advance easily. "There might be a fierce battle coming up," said Long Chen. Long Chen had to give everyone a warning. Once they stepped out of the star-field divine world, if there was nothing unexpected, they would immediately be surrounded and attacked. Due to Zhao Ritian, the Divine Families would not just sit still. They were clearly the ones who wanted to kill us. Were we supposed to just let them? Demanded Tangwan. In this world, talking about reason is useless. Whoever is stronger is the one making the rules. Moreover, those rules are always used to restrict the weaker party, while they themselves are unaffected. That's why simply enduring and submitting is definitely unacceptable. They've always forced us to the point that we have no other choice, so there will definitely be a fierce battle once we return to the Martial Heaven continent. The laughable thing is that the Martial Heaven continent currently stands on the brink of crisis, yet we are still constantly fighting amongst ourselves. Long Chen's expression became contemptuous. People were always talking about uniting everyone, about joining forces against shared enemies. Bullshit. The Divine Families came out to lead the battle, but in the end, they didn't even follow that. Feng Fei was constantly forcing others to bend to her will, while Zhao Ritian had arrogantly killed countless innocent people. Long Chen had realized that he could not work together with such people. Sooner or later, he would be played to death by their foolish rules. Originally, Long Chen had been hoping that the Divine Families weren't like this. They were so powerful and had to have complete inheritances and proper attitudes. Hence, they shouldn't be as chaotic as the Martial Heaven Alliance from back then. But after getting close with the Divine Families, he found that they were fundamentally no different. Therefore, Long Chen was no longer planning on working with the Long family. He could no longer see any hope in that and would rather face the invading races with his brothers. Even if they all died on the battlefield, he wouldn't wish to leave his fate to others. During the next few days, Long Chen had everyone who had reached the full circle of Netherpassage rest and relax. They could play, dance, sing, eat, drink, and even sleep. As a bonus, the Luo spirit race's warriors were all friendly with them. These days of peace were hard to imagine for the Martial Heaven continent's cultivators. No matter how carefree a cultivator was, they carried a mission from the day they were born. Their burden was to continue their family or sex inheritance and bring forth future generations. There was nothing easy about living in the world. Easiness was faked for others to see, and the true bitterness was known only to the self. However, here, under the mother tree, the Luo spirit race's warriors were all pure-hearted and simple. They had no schemes. Their warm emotions affected everyone from the martial heaven continent. Long Chen and the others fell in love with this place, with some people wishing that they could stay here forever. However, that was just a dream. It was impossible. They were not from this world, so once the door to the martial heaven continent closed, they would be automatically transported back. Calculating the time, they still had 3 months, and this remaining time was precious to them. They even began to compete in archery and shoot at flying leaves. After just a bit, the mother tree had become their paradise. That piece was exceptionally moving. Why aren't you playing with everyone? Long Chen carried a gourd of wine and plopped his butt down beside Yi Lingshan, handing over a barbecued meat skewer. Yi Lingshan smiled slightly and thanked him. She then took a bite. After that, Long Chen handed over a wine cup to her, but she reddened and shook her head. I don't drink wine. Do you not drink wine, or do you not drink my leftover wine? Asked Long Chen. Yi Lingshan was embarrassed. Although she wasn't obsessed with cleanliness, she didn't want to drink from the gourd that Long Chen was drinking out of. As for Long Chen, he was sharp, and had both noticed and directly exposed it. After that, Yi Lingshan glared at him. Actually, I liked the skewer I just gave you. That's just a habit. I like first sucking away the oil before eating it. Long Chen, I'll kill you. Yi Lingshan shot up furiously. Although she didn't know if he was just joking or not, her stomach heaved. She then tossed the meat aside and reached out to grab Long Chen's neck. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.